right, would you like to take a few moments to get ready? You're ready now. They're ready now.
It's hardly a formation there.
All right. No guffawing. I've said this. Okay, very good. Very well, since we are the assaulting army, you have the privilege of taking the first volley, right? And then we shall return, and so on and so forth. So, Godspeed, let's have a good one, and good luck to you. All right, men. Now, let's show them what we Brits are made of. Stand your ground. Oh! You've got one! Good shot! Very good shot, actually. That was Timothy. He's our maps and navigations expert. We'll be in a pinch without him. Good form. All right? Now it's our turn to take a volley, so... Oh, all right, men. Let's get ready. Muskets at the ready. And, do me a favor. Let's have a little fun with this. Try and pick the one you think might be their maps and navigations expert, right? Right. Oh! 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 Hey! No! Now you've had your turn. You've just taken 2 volleys and we haven't even had one. Now, I know that for a lot of you Americans, this is your first parlay. But there are rules in modern warfare. We're not dumb beasts, right? Now, since you've taken 2 volleys, we will take 2 volleys, and then you may return fire. You're, in effect, losing a turn. Right. Hey! Hey! Now you know the rules. I've just explained them to you. This battle's barely even started yet, and I'm down to only a handful of men. You're doing very poorly in this war, I might say. Now, we will take 3 volleys, and I do believe we should be allowed the privilege to move forward 5 meters because of your willful violation. Oh! Oh! Who took a shot at the CO? You took a shot at the... Reprimand that man! Reprimand that man! I will file a very important...
Oh man, being a slave in Russia sucks. There's no medical, no paid leave. We should, like, form a union or something.
Dude, yes. Now this little bald turd gets it. All this stuff is actually ours, and all we have to do is just take it. Hell yeah, comrades! All this stuff is ours now. Hey, look, that's my favorite coffee shop. Let's throw bricks at it. Oh, dude, that's my parents' business. Let's burn it. Take that, Mom and Dad. You guys are too rich anyway.
Oh man, that was so lit. No idea what we accomplished there, but we should definitely keep destroying stuff. Hey, is anyone hungry? Holy crap, I'm starving. Ever since we took over, there's literally no food anywhere. Why aren't the farmers farming? Guys, maybe we shouldn't have killed all the farmers. We literally just caused a man-made famine. Now there's actually people eating each other. Well, this isn't good. Now I'm back where I started. But worse. They definitely said if I just threw enough bricks at windows, everything would be better. Oh man, being a slave in Russia sucks.
Happy 4th of July, everybody, and R.I.P. Trevor Moore. Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Try F Podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. And today, we're going to be talking about P Diddy, Skinwalkers, ancient cities, and the ethics of masturbation. It's going to be a all over the place kind of show. Very odd. So,
all over the place.
So, with that said, gentlemen, how are you this evening?
Right as rain.
Mr. Trevor?
Right as male.
Right as a male.
Right too. The Postal Service crushes. It's one of the only government organizations.
The Postal Service? They've been stinking it up lately. I've been like 2 weeks late on my cigars for like 8 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It stinks. Those are first world problems, but still.
From
Huh?
overseas? Are they from overseas?
No, they're from Florida.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you. USPS sucks.
You guys sound good.
Great, thank you very much. We never know. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't because OBS is absolutely terrible at everything. Okay, so with that said, I guess we're going to start off with Skinwalkers tonight. So, Trevor, this was your baby, so how about you walk us through what we're looking at here?
So the first video is just an elderly gentleman, Navajo tribe leader. I wasn't sure. I didn't catch his name, but he's from the channel. What's it called? I can't see it.
Oh, hang on here.
Read it. It's small.
One of the reasons where
It's called the Navajo Traditional Teachings Channel.
Navajo Traditional Teachings.
Yeah, it's
Channel.
on.
And
Sorry, go on.
He's just telling a story about what skinwalkers are, where they came from. It's just a story. So if you like
the giants with deer heads.
Giants with deer heads, well, he kind of tells it from the Navajo side of things. So it's very interesting to me. I don't know if you guys will like it or not. But
I found it interesting, mainly because it shows that the Fed doesn't know what it's talking about. Skinwalker Ranch is silly. It's probably just alien tech being disguised as... Well, yeah, we've talked about it before. The Fed's Scooby-Dooing it, so... Yeah. But this guy, we thought since we talked about Skinwalker Ranch, I guess we're going to cover the actual history of the Skinwalkers and all of that good stuff, I guess.
Well, I don't know if he says any history.
Well, he gives a concise definition?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before I forget, because I'm an idiot, I need to put my headphones on, because at some point, we will get an echo if I don't.
Oh, hey.
I can't believe I forgot to do that. So, hang on here.
You hear my coffee?
I'm not hearing an echo on the live this time.
Are you not? Sweet, maybe I did it right for once. Let me turn this up.
It looks so much cooler with the headphones on, though.
Oh, well, yeah, I do look cool with the headphones on. I'm the best around. So, that's what we're going to say.
Heck yeah.
Not like I'm a little insect. I feel like an insect when I put these on, so I hate it. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right, I'm rambling. Let's get into it. We're starting off
He's a rambling
with some
man.
traditional teachings from the Navajo.
our people, when individuals of any background, they don't have to be Navajo, they can be other tribes or even white people or black people, when they begin to ask about the ways of the Diné in skinwalkers and other witchcraft and the black arts and that, we get suspicious of anyone, because if you begin to learn
My bad.
just a little bit, that interest in learning will grow, and eventually you will be recruited by the evil one, and you will help the demons and that to spread the things that are wrong, and you will be in a position
I don't remember
to,
the drums being this
feel like-
jarring.
I feel like I'm influenced by demons just listening to these.
I know.
drums.
I'm feeling a twitch, man. It's like, oh,
Yeah, it's getting me into it like a panic.
yeah,
Don't forget to guard your heart.
overstimulated. Yeah.
Right, there
evil
you go.
spells and to say evil prayers and to say evil things against people, to do ugly things to society and to the people that we love around us. That's why the Net don't like to share that type of information with anyone. Teneni nini kendi kat yeishin. Ako
What'd you call me?
lagi kat
What?
What did
He's
you just
just-
call me?
He's just speaking.
Why are you
Navajo.
making it about you, Cody?
He's
my
after you.
birthday.
Oh, right. Well, happy birthday. I was getting distracted by this loading bar here. I thought he was like gonna turn into like a video game villain or something.
But
I was like, what is
That's
this?
that's his loading bar for him speaking in Navajo. Here.
Oh.
It's like an intro almost. I
Oh, okay.
Can we skip
I don't
it?
know.
guess. Yeah, you can jump to the end of it if you want.
In the
There we go.
traditional teachings of our people,
There you go.
the teachings about demons and the evil one and how they are able to operate among us as the five-fingered being. The evil one is the actual person or being that is in charge of all of the other evil beings, and those are the demons. And the evil one actually has his origin is known as the Black Yei, or Yeishin. And his primary goal
Black Yei?
is to be an
Yehi.
obstacle.
I thought he said
to-
Yeti.
I'm sorry. Oh,
No,
Yehi.
Yehi.
Oh.
I was thinking like the Black Yay. Like,
Oh.
Yay.
Yes. The guy who wrote Tiny
Or that.
Mustache Man or something, right? That one. That one. So.
hey, he's got a song. He's got a song called "What God Is." Man, it slaps.
It slaps, huh? I'm old.
Like
I'm
slap jam?
old. You have to tell me what that means.
It's like gospel music, but it's great.
Oh, okay. So slaps means good. Okay. I was thinking slap somebody or something because it's bad, but okay, I guess that's. I don't know what I was thinking, but
No,
I was like
come on,
thinking
Gary.
slaps. Yeah, I don't know why that would be a
gotta
good
keep
thing.
up with the kids'
I'm
rhetoric.
old. I'm old. I'm dying. So I'm on my way out. So. All right.
to be in opposition or the adversary to the things that are good, that are made good by the holy people and given to us. And he does everything in his power to make sure that he has some way perverted their effort. And the demons are the ones that help him. And they are not physical in any way beings, but they do have influence over so many of the things that are around us in a physical setting. And they can do things that are of the supernatural nature and actually have an effect on us as the five-fingered being. Is what we are told. And the demons actually have about 4 different names that we apply to them as the way that they have power. And the witchcraft is one of them. And Atakash is another one. Ante is another one. There's a 4th one that I don't like to give a name to. And that is more of a physical type of an attack on the human body. If you are weak in a spiritual way, or an emotional way, or in a mental way, when those are combined, they can attack you. And it is that what they can inflict upon you is actually physical illnesses, and that can deteriorate your body to where it's almost nothing. And so those are the type of powers that they actually have. But in modern times, and that the influence and that the evil ones have, they take any type of form. They come in all sizes and shapes, either as physical five-fingered beings or even material type of things to distract us. And that is the main thing, is the adversary is always making the effort to distract us from the things that are right and good.
Like
And
aliens.
so it is that
Like
we have
aliens.
Like
So do you think the
aliens.
Skinwalkers are disguising themselves
A
as
type of
aliens?
Alien.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I actually like his theology. I like it. It checks out with what I think. I mean,
Better than dualism.
he's saying like you know so in our Ghost Stories episode about Pete,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The more negative energy that you put in that place, like the more he manifested, for lack of
Right.
a better word. So it's like
Yeah.
the more negative energy you give him, the more he grows and becomes a physical kind of
Mhm.
being.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of what
Yeah.
he's saying. It's kind of
No, I don't disagree with it. I thought he was going to go with the dualism thing for a moment whenever he did the stupid circle, or whoever the editor was did the circle thing. But he didn't go that way. So, yeah, I'm not disagreeing with him either.
in our own traditional teaching, what we have is the Skinwalker. The Skinwalkers are actually, they are actual beings or people, the five-fingered being that have great knowledge of the dark side. And they are able to do the flatline and to actually be...
You going to sing the whole thing, or are you going to get copyrighted if you do that?
George
Yeah,
Lucas
let's-
will be pissed.
It's Disney.
Yeah, I guess it is Disney, isn't it? Stupid mouse.
between here and the next world and in spirit form and able to do things to get around and do the evil that they can do. And that is very evil in so many ways. And so those are the ones that we call Yenam Doshi. And I don't like to talk about it, and the net don't like to talk about it. It is that they have control over so many things in the world today. The demonic influence on that that is available, or we have, and it is always for distraction. And one of the main things that they
It is fascinating that this does align very closely with like Christian demonology. The idea of this stuff being around distraction and all that. Yeah, like that's... In fact, people that are in this realm of dealing with demons and stuff, they don't like to talk about it. They keep pretty hush-hush because they understand talking about it gives it power and all this. And so that's actually a common theme. So I do find that interesting that that's something that spans cultures. So...
Yeah. Well, it is a theory that the Native Americans were like one of the 12 tribes of Israel
I think
originally.
the Mormons believe that, if I remember correctly. I think it's them.
I
I think so.
Like if you look at the Hopi prophecy, it like checks out with Revelation real close.
Interesting.
So it's kind of, it all came from the same text.
There's a lot of similarities to the degree that it's kind of peculiar. I do think it kind of matches with the migration theory that the young earth creationists kind of have, though. Like a lot of these traditions are so similar because we all basically came from the same region. So, food for thought. Actually, I think we're going to move on because I don't want to just steal this guy's entire video. So we'll move on to the next guy. If you want to watch the rest of this, it is Skinwalkers, Demons, and the Evil One. And the YouTube channel is Navajo Traditional Teachings. Again, that is Skinwalkers, Demons, and the Evil One. And the YouTube channel is Navajo Traditional Teachings. So, up next, we've got a video called The Truth of Skinwalkers, Stories from the Navajo Nation. I'm going to butcher this guy's name. Apologies.
You just call him Sean.
Sean Klin, or Sean.
Yep.
Shadow Productions. The YouTube channel, Sean Klin, Shadow Productions.
He's basically a guy our age that explains it more how we'll understand. People our age will understand better. And he's basically saying the same thing. So if you want to skip his whole intro, it's like the 4-minute marker.
Okay, great. That would be fantastic.
His intro's 4 minutes?
Well, he explains that he's going to start doing channel stories like this, where he kind of gives his view and his traditional side of it.
Yeah, he seemed to... Sorry, go on.
The first part of the video was just to him fake Skinwalker channels showing short clips of what we've been taught Skinwalkers are, and he basically says it, and he's like, none of those are actual Skinwalkers.
Yeah, he seemed very annoyed that people were getting the lore wrong. That was one thing I got from him. So I'm thinking we'll watch this guy for a few minutes, and then he actually has a story of a Skinwalker and interaction that he had.
Yeah.
So I thought we would end this episode on that, just to give you a sense of how these things operate. And it's actually quite similar to the shadow demon story that I spoke about back in Halloween. So it's just, again, pointing out those similarities. It's like kind of the same kind of beings, but they just have different names in different cultures and places and times and stuff. So, all right, so we'll start with this guy's discussion of the subject.
So, where does the Skinwalker come from? Where does the Yanagloshi come from? Where do they hail? Where do they live? Hell, might even know what they eat. Just kidding. But Skinwalkers and Yanagloshis originate from the Navajo Nation. Hundreds of years ago, medicinal people used to go to our 4 sacred mountains that border the Navajo Nation. 2 in Colorado, 1 in Arizona, and 1 in New Mexico. Now, these medicinal people would have to traverse the land very quickly to be able to do this ceremony within a couple days. So, the spiritual people taught these medicinal men how to shapeshift, how to turn into animals, how to turn into deer, how to turn into coyotes, how to turn into hawks. And so they use this power to be able to traverse the land for good, to do really good medicinal ceremonies, to be able to help patients. And in that old sacred way, they used to do this. But to be able to learn how to shapeshift was a very, very, very hard task and was not easy to do. So what people used to have to do, they used to spend years of their life learning the songs, going through ceremonies to be able to learn how to shapeshift into these animals. Now, there's a lot of people that were out there that were like, man, this is taking too long. I can't do this, you know, I can't stick with this. Now, when that happened, evil and darkness heard their voice as well, heard their prayers, searching for an easier way to do this. Darkness and evil said, come here. I know how to make you shapeshift real easy, but there's a couple things that you have to do to be able to obtain this power. So some people were just like, well, what do you have to do? There's certain steps and ceremonies you have to do to be able to learn how to shapeshift the way we do. First off, you have to sacrifice a loved one, an immediate loved one. Whether that be your lover, your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, or your child, or your grandparents. Somebody that you love and hold close and dear to your heart. You'd have to take...
I'm kind of thinking the same thing as you, Cody. It's like, well, that crying kid was a little over the top. Good night.
A little over the top, yeah.
them out into the reservation, into the darkness.
Yeah, that's a little hokey too, just saying.
Yeah. You would have to sacrifice them to be able to first step and to obtain this power. Now, I know this is really dark, this is really gruesome, but this is the truth of how Yanagloshi has become to be. So, there's some other steps that you have to take that I'm not going to actually
But we do have to point out that these weird, creepy entities always say, sacrifice your kids. It's like a through line in every culture. It's weird. It's almost like it's the same being talking. So.
Yeah, almost.
Yep.
Like,
to you, because a lot of that is very gruesome, and I'm not going to go into detail because a lot of it we're going to keep sacred here. But once you complete all these tasks, you're able to learn how to shapeshift into evil and darkness.
so scary.
I know, right?
Now, a lot of things that everyone seems to forget is where these skinwalkers come from. The Navajo Nation itself holds a lot of sacred power within its borders, and a lot of songs and ceremonies that tie into the mountains, the land, the sky, and its geological point where it's at. So a lot of times, if you were to be a skinwalker, you draw power from the natural landscape that you're at. Now, am I saying that there couldn't be a possibility of a skinwalker leaving the Navajo Nation? No. If they're really pretty high skilled enough to be able to leave the Navajo Nation, say go to the East Coast or learn how to shapeshift over there, use the mountain terrain over there and everything, yes, it's possible, but very, very unlikely. So what are some of the traits of a skinwalker? What are the things they can and cannot do? Can they turn into an elephant? Yeah, maybe, but you know, they have to go and hunt and kill an elephant, wear its skin, and do the whole ceremony. Yes, they can turn into animals, they can shapeshift into anything, almost anything really, but they would...
At the risk of being inappropriate, do you ever wonder if these guys just put on a bunch of random animal skins, got really high, and said, I'm a donkey?
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that it's like, you know, they say like when you black out, you're not driving anymore. I mean, you could get fucked up on peyote and...
yeah, I'm wondering if that's where some of this comes from.
You're kind of, you're being possessed by a demon, you know, more or less. And, you know, at that point, you're going to do what the demon wants, which, I mean, you could kill people or whatever. And so, like, I mean, like, meth heads do bad stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Like they're going berserk, but they're wearing an animal skin at the same time.
Right.
That's one theory for some of it. I mean, we're just exploring all possibilities. We're not saying anything one way or the other.
Yeah.
We're just listening to the story here.
We're just listening, man. So we're gonna let him just. It's the purple. So
Purple rain.
we'll let this guy
Purple
finish
rain.
describing him, and then I want to listen to his story, his actual account. We'll go on.
Have to be able to kill the animal, skin it, mark it up with its markings and designs, put it through its own ceremonies and rituals to be able to prep it to be able to be worn and shapeshift into. Now, I've seen a lot of videos of people out there saying like their dog, looks weird, or there's, all these other things like a poodle or something small. To be honest, Skinwalker's not going to skin a poodle, put it on its back, and be able to shapeshift into it.
Unless he's on meth, as we were saying.
The meth head poodle skin.
Yeah, I've also noticed that the Skinwalker stuff kind of kicked up again right when AI was getting started. Because whenever these AI videos first came out, you'd see these animals and creatures kind of morphing from one thing to the next because the computer couldn't figure out what it was doing. So...
yeah. I'd been hearing about it for years because I used to listen to creepypastas all the time. But then it really took off traction when that Skinwalker Ranch show came out.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, I mean,
And people are like, what's that? That's a cool word.
Yeah, that sounds spooky. Yeah. Well, I remember back in 2014, 2015, they were talking about Skinwalker Ranch, but it was always like alien stuff, looking for lights in the sky, that kind of thing. So...
yeah.
In which case, my place is haunted too. So, anyway, all right, let's see.
What's that behind you?
Oh, who knows? Who knows?
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, so this is his actual story, which I found kind of interesting. So we'll play this.
Now, when the tobacco starts flowing and burning, it's going to be a really good story. And I have a very
Not
exciting
talking about tobacco.
creepy tale for you. A lot of people have been asking and requesting for more Skinwalker tales, and I have a very, very creepy one for sure.
Like that logo. The only bad thing I'll say about it is now every time I see that mask over somebody's face, I think about the stupid era that was the last 4 years. It's not as menacing anymore. COVID really ruined that aesthetic.
Oh yeah, they do.
It's like, oh, that native's a Democrat. Aw. So.
Oh, that is internet, although the internet. Welcome back to another
Calling
episode
your
of
names
Sean
again, Cody. All right.
Yeah, I know it.
and Shadow Productions. Like I mentioned in my intro, you guys have been asking and wondering where all the Skinwalker tales are, and I try, as far as for the lore and teachings about them, I'm pretty much covered about everything, but I still have a couple more personal experiences that I'm willing to share with you, and this episode is going to cover just that. So, this is going to be a time when I would say about 17, 18 years old. So I had a couple years of experience of training against these evil things, darkness, started going out with my brother and my uncle at the time. Now, this trip involved myself and then a couple loved ones as well. And we were making an overnight trip over to the reservation. So in this story, this trip was, I would have to say, a little bit different from the normal times that we would go out to the reservation. So my brother and my uncle at the time were busy and they weren't available to come with me out to the reservation. So it was me and a couple loved ones. We went out to the reservation to my great grandmother's home. And so this trip was going to be an overnight trip over there because early in the morning we were supposed to go butcher sheep. And so we ended up arriving at my great grandmother's house, I would have to say about 10 or 11 o'clock. So normally my great grandmother, she goes to sleep when the sun goes down. She's old, she's tradish like that, Then the only one else I was awake was my other grandmother, who takes care of her and looks after her. And so normally whenever we would sleep there, we sleep in the living room. I normally sleep on the couch. And it was around springtime, so the weather was really good, nothing too crazy. It was a good drive out there, just speaking with my loved ones, having a good time, sharing stories. And when I went out there, like I said, it was already dark, so everybody was getting ready to go to bed. I was tired from school that day, and probably I think I had to take a test or something like that. It was something really stressful, and I remember that aspect of it. But you know, we get our bedding ready, we get everything ready because we normally have to get up before the sun comes up to be able to go get the sheep, to be ready to butcher, and then we had to make our way back home. So typically, whenever we would spend the night out there, normally my older brother and my uncle would be out there as well, but this certain time they were busy, so it was just myself. So that was something that I was thinking about, honestly, on the whole drive over there, because when they came up and told me that we're going to be heading out there, I was thinking, like, I asked my brother, I asked my uncle, I was like, you guys coming out there? They're like, no, we're busy. You know, just look after our loved ones that are going out there, and it's going to be up to you now. You know, I was like, shit. So I ended up bringing up my weapons. At the time, I brought my sword, and I didn't have any firearms at the time. And
You have thoughts, Cody?
Felon.
He's a felon.
And also his uncle and brother tricked him and just scared the shit
It's
out
a
of
snipe hunt. Bring your Aragorn sword. It'll deal with the Nagloshi. Oh.
it would have to say maybe around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, my great grandmother's dog started barking. And I've kind of grown to accustom my body to listen while I'm asleep. So when something like this happens, I immediately get up. I wake up, and especially with a hostile
Also
situation.
schizophrenic.
What is it? Reminds me of that. I hate when people pull that. I've trained my body like, because it reminds me of Get Smart, where it's like the agent's always like, I trained my body to all sorts of narcotics. And then somebody hits him with a poison dart, and he's like, that's a new one. And then he passes out. So we'll take his word for it, though.
Yeah, sure.
That we could be in. You know, you always kind of have to pretty much be ready whenever something like this happens. So I get up, and my loved ones that came with me on the trip were asleep, and I was like, okay, so it's pretty much going to be up to me now to make sure nothing happens. So I made sure to got my boots on, I got my jacket on just in case, and I just sat there on the couch for a little bit, and I waited and I listened, because normally on the reservation you have, you know, animals that show up, normal coyotes. But one thing I remembered is the whole point while we were there. We're there to butcher a sheep, and sometimes coyotes, even though they could be just normal, coyotes go out there and they try to eat the sheep that's out there. So they could be out there trying to eat one of our sheep. And so I'm sitting there, and not too long after, the dog started barking, and I was already sitting down, just kind of waiting there, listening inside the house. I started hearing coyote calls. And
I might be the only one that has any experience with this. I don't know. I can't remember if you guys had cows or knew anybody who had cows at one point. I'd never heard of coyotes going after livestock. I'd heard of, like, ironically, domestic dogs. Like, domestic dogs would form packs and go after the cattle and stuff, which we had to deal with that before.
My neighbor actually had a coyote problem.
So the coyotes will do that.
With what, though?
With his cow.
Would the coyotes go after with?
He had one cow?
The cow.
Calf.
One cow.
The baby. He only kept like a handful of
Mhm.
cows.
Right.
And so one of his cows had a calf, and whenever his cows would have that calf, because that's what he would do. He would breed it and then breed them and then separate the bull, and then anyway, so he started getting llamas and donkeys to solve the problem.
Yeah, no, they would.
I mean, I would argue that like a herd of cows would fuck up some coyotes, but like if you have like 3 cows, they might try it.
That's the thing that I was curious about. Like I'm kind of ignorant on it. Like I said, I know like actual tame dogs will form packs and go after livestock, but for as often as you hear coyotes constantly in the woods yipping and stuff, I don't know if I've ever actually seen a pack of them. I've only seen coyotes do the scavenger thing. I've never actually seen them as a group go after livestock before. Not saying they don't. I just, when he brought that up, I was like, you know what? I don't think I've actually seen that, which is odd. I've seen, lots of coyotes, but just never in a pack, which is weird.
I've never seen any in a pack. I've definitely heard packs of them.
Well, they're all in those woods. They just yip at each other. I don't know if they're I don't know if they're yipping in a pack or if they're just real close together or what. But yeah, they're Good night. It sounds like there's hundreds of them out there sometimes, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, I don't know.
I'm just trying to imagine this overweight guy with a sword fighting coyotes. I mean, that's
You wouldn't go
hilarious.
after him with the sword. That's not a good plan. No, you want a shotgun.
You never know. He might have a katana.
Well, I assume when he says sword, I am thinking Lord of the Rings, one of those tinfoil claymores that's flopping in the breeze. You know.
Yeah.
What do I know? Maybe he had something else. I don't know.
Shoot, man. Well, so many things started running through my mind. I was just like, are those real coyotes? Are those Yannick I'm not 100% sure, so I'm going to have to go and, handle things myself.
My sword.
Luckily,
I do want to point this out. Like, if we're going to assume this guy's story is like, he's telling the truth, which I'm not saying he's lying. We're just poking fun at him for bringing a sword to deal with coyotes. That's ridiculous. But I just want to point out, according to this guy's own tale, he starts out hearing coyotes and thinking Nagloshi. So if there is some,
He's scaring the shit out of himself already. Plus, he's got what do you call it when you can't sleep?
some kind of insomnia. Yeah.
Insomnia. Yeah, he's like already like
Yeah,
half
he's
schizo.
keyed up going out. So if there is something out there, guess what form it's going to take?
Right.
So, all right, moving on. Trevor, were you going to say something?
The Ananagloshi.
Nagloshi, yep.
mother was such a warrior that my mother and grandmother used to tell me stories that whenever these things used to kind of come around, she always had a shotgun that was by the door. So when you open it,
yeah,
on that
that's
back
what you would
side
do.
Right there.
His grandma's smart.
My mother and my grandmother used to tell me
Grandma
stories
actually grew up knowing how to take care of cattle. Yeah.
When things would come around, she had no hesitation or fear. She would grab that shotgun and just one hand and just go out there and just start blasting and stuff. So she still had her weapon there. She still had her shotgun there. And the bullets were kind of just standing up there. So I took them. And then one of my loved ones woke up and they're like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I got to go take care of this, make sure nothing's happening." And they're like, "Okay, be careful." So I walk outside and the temperature was cold, man. And like I said, it was springtime, so it was colder than most compared to where I lived in the border town at the time. And I start making my way over to the sheep corral. Now, the sheep corral, I would have to say, is about 200-300 yards east of where the homestead is, kind of in a canyon area. So I'm walking and I'm vigilant. I'm looking left and right. And the whole time I'm just thinking, like, my brother and my uncle aren't here, so all my training is going to pretty much lead up to this point if anything does happen. So I end up walking and I keep walking. The dogs are just going crazy and the coyote calls are getting more.
What training? What training? You're training in jail?
Training.
I doubt it's very effective training, hence the sword. I will say that.
More and more, and one thing I noticed when I was walking was those coyote calls were coming from different directions, so they were all spread out around the sheep
But I will
corral.
say this, never once in my life have I ever been like, I heard a coyote and thought, oh, I bet there's a demon out there. I wonder if there's a demon. I'm like,
It's probably
it's a demon coyote. Yeah, I've never led with that conclusion before.
And by the time I made my way over to the sheep corral, the sheepdogs are barking at me because they didn't really recognize me. So I went over there, I pet them, I calmed them down, but they were still like on guard. And the sheep were all just kind of corralled and gathered up in one corner of the sheep corral. And
Which, to be fair, animals do that when they are getting harassed by animals. They'll bunch.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was there and I just remember loading around inside of the gun, and I had my sword with me too on my back, and I was just looking around and I heard all the coyotes.
Okay, I'm gonna criticize myself. I missed the sword thing the first time. I might not have played this if I'd caught the sword thing the first time I was listening to this. That went past me.
He calls around me, so I just went fired off one round. Everything got quiet. All the sheep kind of freaked out a little bit. You hear their bells moving.
He's got the Luke sound effects going.
Yes, he's got a lot of sound effects. I don't think they're helping his story much, though. Like,
Oh,
you
I like
it. It keeps your attention. It keeps your attention. We'll say that. So.
He stopped, and I was like, okay, well, hopefully that scared them off. And then I hear, and I turn and look to my left. There's a little hill that kind of goes up right there, and there's a tree, and there's somebody standing there. And I pointed up the gun, and like, I'm not gonna lie, like I kind of gasped a little. I was like, and then I turned and looked, and I pointed the gun, and I said, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And like I said, the only people that were there were my great grandmother, two of my grandmothers, and one other loved one that I had with me at the time. And I pointed the gun up there at them, and I asked, "What are you doing? Who's here? Announce yourself." And they didn't say anything. They just stood there. And sure enough, I hear another. I turned it, like I had my gun still on them, and I turned and looked, and there was somebody else. I'd have to say about 50 yards away at another tree right there. And then the dogs just started barking and going crazy. And so when I looked and I turned back, that person was gone. And I was like, fuck. And where I was, the sheep corral was, like how I said, it was kind of in a canyon. So there's two hills that come down. I was standing in the middle. The sheep corral was right here. There's two people that way, and it leads up more into a canyon that way. So I was just hitting myself on the back of the head and just kicking myself. I was like, I put myself in an ambush position. And I remember I was freaking out, and just the things that were running through my head was,
is that what he said?
there's no one else here.
I think he
They're
was speaking
trespassing.
metaphorically, like he's kicking himself, like.
Right, but that's hilarious.
Oh, because he kicked himself in the back of the head?
Yeah. And just so you know, this was his brother and his uncle on the hill.
Oh, I didn't think about that, but you might be right.
Yeah. They're totally.
Oh,
messing
that
with
makes
That's
so
funny.
much more sense than where I was going with it. Wait till the rest of the story. I think you're right, Cody. I think you're right.
And I gave warning. I was just like, if you don't leave, I'm going to take a shot at you. If you don't leave, this is what's going to happen. Sure enough, they just stood there. I aimed, got it, fired. Pulled the trigger, and I shot toward the person. They didn't move. The bullet went right through them, and I was
Shotguns
like,
don't have
holy
bullets.
crap.
Oh my god.
I was going to say, it's interesting he didn't assume he missed. And just went right through him.
Right.
You know,
These people were probably 100 yards away.
yeah.
Maybe it was buckshot.
That's true. If it was a shotgun,
Then they would have died. Why would a skinwalker have a gun, bro?
Just they like to copy noises.
yeah, that's where he's going, as he was saying it was copying the noise, but
Okay.
But yeah, I would have just assumed I missed. I wouldn't assume the bullet went right through him. I mean, I wouldn't have been like, I'm such a great shot. That's impossible. So, I'm just...
Even though I'm a felon and not allowed to have guns. We should call the cops on this guy for admitting to using a firearm.
Oh, I'll leave that to you.
Is a Yanagloshi. This is a skinwalker. Not in the physical form. This is more so of the Yanagloshis and skinwalkers. It's in the spiritual form. And sure enough, I saw that red glow of their crystals start to glow more. And I saw that glow slowly start making its way over toward me. And I turned and looked where that other person was. He was north of me, where he was at the sheep corral, and he was on the other side of it right there, and the dogs were just barking. And at this point, I was really relying on the dogs to kind of sense out and smell where these beings were. And as that person started coming closer, how people ask me, how do you see spirits? How do you see these certain things? And if the situation does arise, I can see them pretty kind of clearly, but in the silhouette or shape of a human being, but it's more so microwaved with heat waves, I guess you can say. But what really gave it off was that red crystal that they...
Okay, I'm not going to make fun of him on that point, because when I see weird stuff, it's always like cartoon two-dimensional stuff that makes no sense. So
What's the red crystal?
apparently these things have like crystals and stuff are part of their ritual. And so when they're astral projecting, I guess that crystal's on them or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
So
And it's usually always red.
Yeah.
So they usually have like red glowing eyes or a red vibe.
Yeah, my point is though, when people do see stuff, a lot of times it's like how they see it's different. Like me and Trevor during that episode in October, we were talking about how he sees a lot of vaporous stuff when he sees, like, what'd you say, a little kid at one point, and it looked like the Ring or whatever. Trevor?
Oh, the Ring
Yeah.
bitch. Yeah.
And then like I would see like cartoon heads, kind of like Amityville Horror, where it's like the two-dimensional, but it's, you know, it's there, but it's like oversaturated and kind of fake looking. So it's like when people see stuff, they see it just a little bit different, and it's always interesting to kind of probe people to get them to describe exactly what they saw, because it's always just a little bit different. So
Yeah.
I won't fault them on that point,
All right.
but it's an interesting little detail. So where are we at?
All in
I
the
feel like I had another
details.
thought and I lost it. Anyway. Oh, yeah.
Are you bloviating?
No, I'm not bloviating. I'm forgetting. No, what I was going to say was about the dogs, relying on the dogs and stuff. I keep trying to do that with my dog, and it fails, because I'll go out there, out of the house at 2 or 3 in the morning and smoke a cigar. And every once in a while, there'll be something in those woods, because I live, right across from a national park. There'll be something in there, and they'll snap a twig or whatever. And I keep expecting the dog to get on high alert and, point or do something that, indicates that it's intrigued, and she just lays there. And I'm like, you're useless. If somebody attacks me, I'm going to die. Thank you.
Well, dogs usually smell stuff before they hear it.
Maybe he knew it was an armadillo, or she knew it was an armadillo or something.
It's normally an armadillo.
So I'm just saying, if it wasn't an armadillo, I'm going to die. That's just all I'm saying. My dog is useless. So
Could have been a skunk.
yeah.
So he was coming closer, and I took another shot, but it went straight through. And I said, all right, this is enough. So, I ended up putting the gun down, and I drew my sword. And they came
I knew he was
closer.
going to say that.
And as they kind of came closer, I just gripped my sword, and I was just thinking, and then I started praying, and then I started singing some songs, 2 protection songs. And luckily, as he started getting closer, I was looking around I really wish I had frog eyes to where I could look at one person and another eye would be scanning, but I was using my peripheral vision, sensing everything out, and I was just ready at that point. I didn't try to make the first move because there was still a little ditch between me and him. And as that person, that spirit, started making his way over to me, the dogs started barking in the direction right behind me, and I sensed somebody standing right behind me. So I turned and I looked, and that Yanagloshi already had Wishte, and I couldn't move. And at the time, like how I said, I didn't have...
So that's sleep paralysis, basically. Wishte. Now he's holding his hand up. There's either 1 to 2 things this could be. I can't remember which it is. It's either the bone powder that is like a curse, or it's the sleep paralysis thing, or they paralyze you. You know what I mean?
They blow dust at you, and it makes you freeze.
No, they'll freeze you, and then they blow the bone powder in your face, and that's supposed to be a curse that's either going to kill you or create misfortune or some such thing. So that's what I can't remember what that specific word's referring to, though. So I don't remember. I'm thinking it's the bone powder, since he's got his hand kind of up like that.
Everything. I wish I had some of the sacred medicines and herbs, and this one time I forgot because I was tired, what have you, whatnot. I forgot to partake and eat those medicines that kind of counteract the paralysis effects of the Yanagloshi. So I turned and looked, and as I looked, it was just my head that turned. I had my sword and I was gonna go, but I was frozen, and it felt like a giant cramp that overtook my body, and it hurt. And I tried moving, but it was just a couple seconds that Yanagloshi was standing right there, and he had that Washte, that bone powder poison, and so he went like that. He blew it inside of my face, and all I could do is I tried not to breathe, I tried not to do anything, but it was already in my eye, all over my face. And sure enough, luckily one of the dogs from the sheep corral jumped over the wall of the sheep corral and went and started barking, and he almost bit that Yanagloshi that was right there. So sure enough, when that dog jumped over, that Yanagloshi saw it and he ran. and that second one that was coming disappeared. Like after that dog jumped over the, I guess you could say, the paralysis effect of that being was gone, and I turned and looked, but then like it turned this way real quick, and that other Yanagloshi that was standing over here was gone, that I took shots at. So they were gone, but I had all that stuff on me, so immediately like I tried wiping all that stuff off.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it here because his family gives him a ceremony and he's all better. That's the end. If you want to finish watching this, it's called The Night I Almost Lost Everything: Tales of Navajo Skinwalkers, and the channel is Shanklin Shadow Productions. That is Shanklin Shadow Productions. Title of the video: The Night I Almost Lost Everything. So I was going to make the comparison with basically demons, the 9-foot shadow people that people talk about seeing, because when you think Skinwalker, you're thinking somebody's turning from like a hawk to a person or something, but in this case you get, demons. And he was thinking Skinwalker from the beginning, so the manifestation matched what he expected. That's where I was going with it. I like your explanation better. It was his brother and uncle messing with him. I kind of like, that's probably what happened. But this was a snipe hunt for Navajo. So
yeah, it's really what it sounds like.
I kind of think you're right.
I don't know why the dog, if it was a spirit, why the dog would have scared it off.
Well, they do see them. Like one of the weird instances I had,
Well, sure, yeah, I believe that, but they're not scared of dogs.
Yeah, that's true. I've never seen it. It's not like it would run it off. So that's true.
Right.
Trevor, what do you think, sir?
I agree. Yeah, you pretty much said it all.
So you think it was a actual shadow entity manifesting as an Agloshi, or do you think it's the brother and
more
uncle?
than likely.
I know we're being a little tongue-in-cheek, but what do you honestly think, Trevor?
Honestly?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think it was the demons.
Okay.
And then his mind, formed the demons into his reality.
Yeah.
Because that's what he
does
believes.
Sound like he was like gripped by fear.
Yeah.
Like he like he was scared before he even went to his grandma's house, and it just like compounded and compounded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he manifested so much fear that it actually happened.
Yeah. Well, if there was something out there, he already had expectations for the thing to, mimic. But that's what they do. That's what we talk about on here when we are talking about demons. It's mimicry. All they do is mimic. And so if you're going out there with these preconceived notions, you're going to see exactly what you expect to see 9 times out of 10.
Absolutely.
So that was kind of my point with it. Although the brother thing, that's just funnier. I'm going to stick with that. So
Put a blanks in his shotgun, so if he did shoot,
that's a
good
good point. That's a really good point.
I didn't think about that. You're right. So, all right. Yeah, that's quite the prank.
They got him real good. Yeah.
You're sitting there laughing after this video comes out, going, "I can't believe he bought it." So, all right. Well, you guys make up your own mind if you believe this fella or not. And I'll say the channel one more time. It's Shanklin Shadow Productions. And the video is The Night I Almost Lost Everything: Tales of Navajo Skinwalkers. And we're going to move on to section 2. So if you are watching the live stream in real time, stay with us. We're moving on to the next topic. If you are watching this after the fact, guys, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time. All right. On to segment 2.
All right.
Now, I might have got my tabs out of order here. No, this is right. Okay, so, Trevor, how about you lead us into this? This is the, how about, Trevor, you do the intro and then lead us into what we're talking about.
All right, ready? This is going to be crazy.
Go for it.
Welcome to Faith Fiction and Folklore, or the Triumph Podcast, where we try not to F it up. And today, on this second segment, we're going to talk about these guys coming across an Amazon pyramid, sorry. And we're going to be listening to a channel called James. He runs the channel That Is Impossible, and on this personal channel, he does deep dives, and he just kind of shows you what he's looking into for his main channel. And this is where he does all the researching and boring stuff. But he's been doing really good. But anyways, how are you guys doing?
Swell.
Swell. Yeah. So basically this is over in the Amazon. They found this big doorway and it leads into this huge pyramid that they found in the Amazon. And I thought that was really cool. So I thought we'd share it.
Let's see what's
Cool,
inside.
cool beans. I'm gonna try to be looking stuff up here as he's talking, just so y'all know. So you may have to carry the show for a minute, but we'll see.
Carry
On this
on
one,
my
and I didn't want to leave you
wayward
guys without
son.
anything this weekend, so I decided to put 2 videos together, 2 videos that I think make sense. Stay tuned for new videos next week, and I'll see you guys then. So this is wild. There are people right now in the Amazon jungle, and they came across what they believe to be a structure in the middle of the jungle.
Galera, nós tá chegando aqui, ó. Cara, é até lá em cima. Vamos subir ali, ó. Mas, caramba, mano, será que tem não a cidade perdida do Amazonas? Ratanambá, sei lá. Galera, cansei.
So they climb this place and they find an entrance to what they believe to be this ancient lost world. The same world that Percy Fawcett was looking for in the 1900s when he went to the Amazon jungle looking for it and never returned. And there's something weird going on inside this place.
Pegar mais um urso vindo ali, ó, se arrastando. Tem tudo indo pra cá.
As always, I'm pretty curious about this kind of stuff, so as I was digging around, I found this insane rabbit hole. Kind of connects the possibility of these ancient civilizations having some sort of connection through a network of underground tunnels. And this could possibly explain why there are certain places in the Amazon forest that are completely restricted and a no-access zone.
Existe lugar controlado pelo exército chamado Quadrilátero Maldito. O nome você já pode ter uma ideia, né?
The question is if this lost city of the Amazon forest actually exists and if it is somehow connected to other ancient cities throughout the world. Who built this? An advanced civilization? Possibly aliens?
Found all the ruins of...
There was a Spanish explorer who went down the Amazon River system in 1541 to 1542. He was the first European to cross the entire length of South America from west to east along the Amazon. He reported seeing incredible cities, advanced arts and crafts, millions of people, a thriving culture.
My uncle also told him that where the water is very deep, they also go into the water and transforms it to something else.
Now, of course, this is just a myth, but now that we have LiDAR technology and that we actually found massive structures hidden within the Amazon forest, this might all just change.
Pessoal, olha só que coisa curiosa isso aqui, gente, ó. Bem no meio da BR aqui. Olha só isso. Beira da estrada, pessoal. Eu vou ver até onde nós conseguimos ir.
So let's take a look into what these divers found in the Amazon forest, if it has any strange connection with underground tunnels, Grand Canyon, ancient Egypt, and if aliens are somehow...
Before we do that, I'm actually going to show a TikTok video really fast that kind of gives us a broader perspective about what they're talking about. This is a clip from Joe Rogan, actually, or somebody who was on Joe Rogan talking about the same deal.
Good old Joe.
Joe. So, okay, we got our volume here.
Is it Graham Hancock?
It's not Graham Hancock, no, but I'm sure Graham Hancock would have thoughts on this subject. Might look up what he has to say, actually. All right, So this is going to give us a broad view of what he's talking about.
Xingu region, where all of the major LiDAR came out of. They found all the ruins of these giant cities. You'll see this central city area. You'll see step pyramids and raised platforms. Maybe this is where people lived, or maybe this is where the market was. And there will be a road that cuts straight through it. And you can see the road just
So just so you
goes
know,
off
that graphic that he showed is what that guy was recording through the helicopter image. Just so you know, that grid. So just so we're clear on that.
the distance for miles and miles and miles. And there's a city called Kiriguyu. It had an estimated population of about 1 million people, which is the size of Rome. Here we go. Yeah.
And is all that area covered completely with jungle right now?
Completely covered in jungle. Yeah. So if you went out there,
you wouldn't see any of this.
You may not realize that you were standing on a mound because it's so hard to see it. The jungle just claims everything back.
Okay, so just wanted to throw that out there so we kind of had a idea what he was referring to. Now we'll go back to see if there are tunnels under these cities and whatnot. So here we go.
Now involved. This is the page. These are the water warriors. They are miners and divers, basically mining things, diving in the Amazon River. And these are the videos of them actually coming across this mysterious structure. This
Hang on a minute. Apologies. I'm actually going to look that YouTube channel up really fast because I want to see their stuff directly. So, excuse me. You guys talked amongst yourselves.
Have you heard? So there's Roaring River. Have you heard of
Yeah.
that in Missouri?
Yeah.
So there's a aquifer underneath there, and there's a a tunnel that goes straight down all the way. I don't know to where, but I've heard that they've sent divers down there, and like one of them died. Like
Because it was so deep.
Yeah.
Can't you like put the Statue of Liberty in it?
Yeah, I think you're talking about Deer Leap, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, under Deer Leap.
Yeah, that spring there.
It's pretty cool, man. And the fact that trout just kind of spawn there magically, that's pretty sweet.
Well, that might be the
They're
trout
pretty
farm,
big too.
but I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
They're not farming fish. What are you talking about?
It's weird. It's weird. It's almost like it's a giant ruse.
Giants.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Tunnels could be.
Could be.
They're tunneling. They're tunneling.
That one tunnel that they showed on that video, it was like on the side of the road, and they're like, "Ooh, it's a mystery. Like nobody's gone in there. There's a road next to it. What do you mean?"
This is not working. Apparently, lots of
It's not
a
working
lot
out.
of people apparently have this exact same title for videos and stuff. So there we go. Good night. You'd think after this guy's video they'd be a little larger, but instead we're just getting. Here we go.
Small clips.
Yeah, we're just getting small clips. This thing is not.
It's a conspiracy, bro.
Yeah, they don't want us to know about tunnels that nobody goes to. Maybe there's
Conspiracy pyramid.
pyramids
with videos that are all the same name.
Yeah, it's like just a barrage of the same stuff. All right, hang on a minute. Let me try being a little more specific. Amazon City.
So, do you think it's actually connected with all the alien stuff or no?
No, I just think.
No.
You believe in aliens, bro?
I don't know if I believe in aliens or not. I will say this. They say aliens because we need a new religion since we're all nihilistic and godless now. That's part of it.
Okay.
Speaking of I'm joking. I'm not going to go with that joke. Here's Graham Hancock, by the way.
And the reason they couldn't find them is precisely the reason that you give, which is that the jungle had eaten those cities because the human population had been wiped out by disease brought by the Spaniards. The Spaniards didn't have to have direct contact with those indigenous peoples in the middle of the Amazon. The diseases just jumped from population to population and just killed everybody.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Whoa.
So that was very brief.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so the diseases just wiped those guys out. I wonder why, though, like really, like why they wiped everybody out. But anyway, so I'm still...
Or what kind of disease would wipe everyone out like that?
I think it said smallpox.
Smallpox?
Yeah, I don't know, though.
I guess that one was pretty bad.
That's the go-to theory, but I think we'd have to do some homework to see if diseases can really do that, but I don't know. I mean,
Smallpox is always their go-to excuse.
Yeah, see, I'm wondering if it's kind of just a go-to excuse. Like, I feel like there would be more to it than just that, but I don't know. I have no evidence to suggest
Oh, the
it.
British brought over smallpox blankets covered in, to the Indians.
Right?
Smallpox.
It's like, is that true?
Smallpox blankets
We
covered in
don't know, we
malaria,
weren't there.
covered in,
Did you know like 90% of the smallpox deaths in the 50s were vaccine-derived smallpox?
I'd heard something about that with polio, but I
on
hadn't heard
paper.
about that with smallpox.
Yeah,
Oh,
polio.
it was
sorry.
polio. Okay.
Not smallpox. Yeah.
Polio, yeah.
Dude, I cannot find this guy's channel anywhere.
They just poison people, and they're like, "Oh, it's a disease, I guess."
We'll poison these people on purpose and then blame it on this.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. Like, I typed this guy's channel in word for word. Maybe I misspelled it?
Still not popping out.
No, it's not.
Maybe it's a fake channel.
It might be.
Did you say it was a YouTube
Well,
channel
maybe
or a
it's,
TikTok
maybe
channel?
It's TikTok. Maybe it's another group. Because, like, how would I know? So.
It says YouTube, doesn't it?
It says 6 follow. Yeah, it doesn't say. I bet, Trevor, I bet you're right. I bet it's another channel, like a TikTok group or something.
Just put it in your
Okay.
browser.
I'll try that. That's what I did at first, but yeah, it didn't
really?
give me anything. Why would they care about whether or not there's a bunch of cities in the dirt? Dad blame.
Holy cow.
Antiquitech, bro. It's Tartaria.
Tartaria. Greg
yeah.
has been getting into that rabbit hole. He's like, I can't believe people actually think that exists.
The Tartarians?
Yeah, it is. It's TikTok.
TikTok.
I'm not. I am not
TikTok
giving the Chinese
Tarians.
my name. You guys can kiss my butt. So.
I actually looked it up here. Smallpox eradication.
Yeah, how'd that play out, Mr. Trevor?
At least 3,000 years ago, the variola virus emerged and began causing illness and deaths in human populations, with smallpox outbreaks documented in the historical record. from
Let me
time to
translate
time.
that.
More
Once
than,
upon a time, there was a disease called smallpox.
More than 300 million people died from smallpox in the 20th century.
Don't you love how
alone.
they like spend a paragraph telling you what you already know? It
Wait,
drives me
Let me
insane.
keep reading. Thanks to the success of global vaccination and disease surveillance
Well, that proves it.
programs, in the 60s and 70s, the World Health Assembly declared smallpox the first disease to be globally eradicated.
Because I'm sure a committee would know.
Or
Uh-huh.
maybe the invention of modern plumbing.
Or regular baths.
Cuts down, right, regular baths, cuts down the amount of bacteria that people are living in, and they no longer live in filth. And then so they don't get sick. And they're like, oh, we fixed it with vaccines. Now take our fucking poison.
You conspiracy theorist, how dare you? How dare you? You challenge this science.
That is from the CDC. CDC.
Well, of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. I bet Fauci wrote that. So.
I'm Dr. Fauci. Take
Just the science. Okay.
Just the science of Dr.
All right, we'll go
Fauci.
on since I can't find these guys without giving the Chinese my name.
I hate
I know,
doing
it
that.
sucks now. It used to be so cool. Now it sucks. It just is so lame.
Dang it, Al Gore's.
Well, they can't.
Al Gore.
They can't divide long form content and people learning things, so they gotta take it over and give us stupid sound bites again.
So is this channel right here? Is this fake?
No, it's a TikTok channel. Yeah, it's a TikTok
okay.
channel. So that's why I wasn't able to find it. It's on TikTok. That's why I'm whining about the Chinese. So yeah, that's good.
My bad. I'm slow.
Mistaken, it
Ticker
talkers
is the first video. Let's take a look at it.
Galera, nós tá chegando aqui, ó.
Guys,
Ó,
we're
aí,
getting
ó,
closer.
Estamos se aproximando. Toda vez que eu chego aqui perto, mano.
Every time I get close, bro, it's crazy. It's impressive. It's very.
É muito.
Anna
Ó,
Nicolosi.
olha aí, galera. vai
Look, guys,
tentar.
we're trying to.
Whoa.
Entrar aqui hoje, galera. Vamos ver se vai dar certo.
Yeah.
There's something there.
Já tá as pedras.
Could be some sort of.
I don't know. I feel like bluffs kind of look like that from time to time.
They do. Why wouldn't they show a video of going in? Like, is there anything of them going in? Or is it all
they
just like...
they start going in here a bit.
Are you guys hearing that static, or is that just me?
I don't hear it.
Yeah, he's got like background sound going on. That's his editing.
No, I've got the video paused. I'm thinking it might be me. Hang on here.
You have personal.
Yeah, I'm having
issues?
personal technical
Sorry.
issues. Give me a second. Apologies.
Plug your headphones in better.
Unplug and plug it back in. Restart your whole system.
Yeah, reboot the whole thing. Whoops. All right, we're good now. I'm no longer sounding like a robot in my ear. All right.
I am robot. Hear me.
Yeah, that just looks like
robot.
bluffs. And now the robot's back. Dad, blame it, Chinese. Stop it. I ain't saying anything that interesting.
It's because you got on TikTok.
Yeah, it's because I got on TikTok. Exactly. I've been bugged.
Ancient construction. That's odd, isn't it?
All right, let me look ahead. You said you wanted to see tunnels. Here we go. No.
Encounter, especially here in Egypt as well as
Here we go.
in Peru and Bolivia. We're encountering very sophisticated work.
Yeah, that can't be a coincidence. Look at that. That over there is a perfect fit, as if these rocks have been put together.
Aqui, ó.
Looks
Nesse
like a pyramid.
quadrado aqui, ó. Era uma entrada. Olha, galera.
Or a bluff.
Ó o desenho.
Yeah, I'm just seeing bluffs so far. I'm not saying there aren't cities in there, but that doesn't look particularly man-made. Not yet, anyway. Like, yeah, straight lines are a little weird, but they do happen. Like in bluffs and creeks where there's a lot of rainwater and stuff.
Yeah. At this point, most people were thinking maybe this is just a coincidence. When they find a cave in the entrance, they actually find some markings on it. Let's take a look at this.
Isso aqui é a paredão de pedra.
Pipe.
Vai até lá, ó. Atrás, entendeu?
Wait a minute, what is that?
Atravessar aqui.
That over there. What is that?
Tá vendo ali, ó?
Over here.
It's a pipe.
É a paredão de pedra.
Then right before they actually go into the cave, they find this square formation once again.
It's an oxidized pipe. That's fine. Somebody drove a pipe in there one time for some reason. That doesn't suggest a whole city, guys.
But how did they get it in that part?
Bore it in. Probably somebody was in there drilling around. Who knows why? Maybe they were mining for oil or something. I mean,
could have been from the 80s.
Yeah, it could have been from the 80s. Like, you don't know.
Então encaixa, ó. 2, 3.
It's really weird how there's a bunch of perfectly square-shaped rocks put on top of each other in the middle of the Amazon jungle. It could be a coincidence, but then they go into the cave and they find this.
Aí quando chegar lá, o Rodriguinho subiu aqui já.
Galera, é uma cavernona, galera.
Olha só, gente. É o trem.
Galera. Gente, o que é uma... Cadê? Olha aí, cadê? Ai, meu câmera.
Cadê? Tá rock.
Cada luz, pô. Ok, cara.
What is that?
Cadê a luminha lá dentro
Segunda mão pra vocês. Primeira mão pra vocês. Não é segunda mão. Primeira mão pra vocês.
Cara, é tipo uma... O que mesmo isso aí? Uma sala de estar.
negócio de árvore. Petrified tree.
Looks like a key.
Yeah, it looks like a key. Yeah, he's saying it's a petrified tree. It's like, well, yeah, that's there. It's because I know.
Crazy.
It's almost...
It must be man-made.
Yeah, that's the only possible conclusion.
Or alien made.
Well, maybe the planet just isn't millions of years old and petrification happens fast, but that would be crazy.
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, worldwide flood. Oh no.
What?
I was just going, worldwide flood. I think that's more likely than radiometric dating, but anyway.
Or carbon dating.
Raiz de árvore, sei lá. Olha o símbolo na parede, pegar, ó.
Atento a todo movimento, né? Galera, vou botar um.
there's scary music, it must be something.
All right. Do you think that?
Yeah, it's James doing
Do
it.
you think the T section is man-made?
Looks like a footprint.
Aliens cut it. Aliens. The only explanation.
Yeah. That's
So
the
there's
only
some funnel-shaped alien that made a door to its exact proportions. That'd be a.
Yeah, he hit it like Wile E. the Coyote when he smacks into clips.
No, I think it was a giant, and he kicked it, and that's
He
why
was
it
just
looks
having
like
a bad
footprint.
day.
It does not look like a footprint. He'd have really tiny heels.
I thought, okay, that might
Achilles
be man-made.
would be a shame.
That cave might be man-made, but I wasn't sure. I wanted to get.
That doesn't even make sense.
That's why I said
They're
might.
like only bodybuilders fit through the doorway. They're like,
It's just, it's just a
Come on.
weird shape, so I thought maybe.
Maybe the camera's upside
Maybe
down.
the camera's upside down. There we go. There's just somebody with a really long head could fit through there. It's like those gray aliens.
God, I hate TikTok.
Oh, man.
So at this point, I kind of get the feeling that they should be there. They know, and they're scared.
Why? Why would you be scared?
Because there's scary music, Gary.
It's like, we shouldn't be here, guys. Well, there might be a cougar. Did you bring a gun? I mean, what are you afraid is going to happen?
Well,
You
they
guys
might
hear
run
that
into.
ominous music that started playing when we walked into the cave?
There might be an anaconda in
Well,
there
those things are slow.
because they're in the
Those things are
Amazon.
slow. You don't need to worry about that.
Yeah. Just don't bring old fella's shotgun.
Yeah, it won't work. It won't work. It'll go right through whatever it hits.
You're shooting blanks.
And there's
This
this moment that
katana
they
would
record
work,
the
though.
cave entrance, and again you have this perfect symmetric shape. Doesn't
Not
look
a
like
perfect
naturally made. And then after going
There's an approximately symmetric shape. So.
deeper into the cave, they come across this very weird marking on the cave wall. Doesn't look like it's natural to me. So what is that? That's weird.
I don't even know what he's pointing at.
Yeah, like some of these markings actually look like they're symmetrical.
Rocks.
Okay, so that's weird.
Sério mesmo esse risco aqui. It's not weird. I don't think this guy knows what the word symmetry
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's just saying symmetrical shape, and it's like there is none. What are you talking
Okay, yeah, so for the people on the podcast, this looks like a game of tic-tac-toe, approximately.
I mean,
barely. Barely a game of tic-tac-toe.
like some old vines or...
Yeah, I mean, it could have been any number of things. It could have been like native sharpening weapons on there for all we know. I mean, it could be literally anything.
Yeah, that's not natural.
Or some sort of
Or
bear.
a bear, for whatever reason, is having a bad day, so he's like, venting his frustrations on a wall. I don't know. Yeah, scrape that. Hey, bucks and bears will do that. They'll scrape on hard surfaces to file down their claws and antlers. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe he got in there.
Could have been
an angry antelope. I don't know. It's like, again, it's kind of weird, but to go from this to giant city the size of Rome it's what's silly about it.
Well, it might be the size of Rome, like as far as like how the landscape,
Yeah, but
it
it's
goes
connecting
from
the two.
Point A to
It's
point B.
connecting the two, It's like, okay, you've got the grid pattern in the forest. That's cool, and that suggests a giant city. I don't know what this suggests. Yeah. It could be any number of things. And to say that it all cumulatively suggests a giant city in Rome's a little ridiculous. Because this could be completely unrelated.
I agree.
So, anyway.
Tipo hashtag jogo da velha.
Yeah, that's not natural.
No. Sério mesmo.
The first detail that should have clued anybody in that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about is that he knows what the word hashtag means. That should knock down your intellect a few points right there. So, anyway.
Yeah, there's something really weird about this place. So they continue on going deep into this cave.
Altura. E ali, ó. Ó o pH mais o vindo ali.
All right, I'm getting bored. So, yeah, this is like a vaguely, there's some vaguely ambiguous kind of weird things in this cave that could be any number of things. And they're assuming giant city or tunnel that leads to a giant city, more specifically. I would need more than this to be convinced, personally. But let's see what conclusion she draws later on. Because he's got some cool footage, if nothing else. So he gets into some of the other like tunnels and other areas. So let's jump ahead to that. That was a fake, or I thought that was fake. Let's see. Let's see what this is.
Yeah, so this is supposedly the entrance that was closed, forbidden. And this is
Now he's talking about giant tunnels that stretch across the length of the continent, or the width of the continent.
That's a long ways. Looks like a highway.
Yeah, it's about 4,820 kilometers. So.
Ground tunnel. 4,800 kilometers. This is crazy. So these are photographs that people took while trying to actually get through this. Wait a minute, in ancient times, people could not have dug a tunnel that long. Could they?
Yes, they could.
They could have if they were smuggling.
We just have
stuff.
to quit assuming everybody before the light bulb was an idiot. People could dig tunnels. It was a thing that happened. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's how they survived back then.
Or
They
maybe
would
it
dig
was-
tunnels.
Maybe it was Quetzalcoatl's home before he went into the sky.
oh, there you go. That could be it. That could be it. That just annoys me. These guys always. This stuff wouldn't be nearly as spooky if you just quit assuming everybody before you was a moron. It's like, yes, they.
Yeah. And they're just claiming that the tunnel's there. Like there's no.
Yeah,
proof
they've
of
got
it.
some pictures and then a map. That.
Yeah, the map could be literally a
Yeah,
highway.
that's true. That's true. We didn't get a good look at the map, did we, to see what it could be? But yeah, I mean, but even if there were a tunnel that size, it wouldn't be that big a deal. Like, yes, people back then could do things. They were capable of building, and they did. I mean, blows your mind. Apparently.
They might have been more capable back then than we are now.
Yeah. Bob Lazar had this really interesting concept that I've always found fascinating, you know, that you could have different types of tech. Like, people could be intelligent in different ways, you know. That alien noise is back again. Hang on. Oh, wait, now it's gone. They heard me call it out, so they stopped. Anyway, it's the Chinese.
Is it the connection on your
Huh?
headphones? Is it like the wire?
Yeah,
on
it's
your
the wire
headphones or
doing
something?
it. Yeah, but Bob Lazar had this idea that, you know, if you have different elements, if you have access to different stuff, your technology is going to develop differently. If you've got a civilization that's born in a different place in time, maybe they're not aware of electricity, but they're aware of something else that's going to influence the technology in a different way. Like, maybe these guys just had different kinds of technology that we don't have. You know, I think that's much more plausible than aliens. So.
Yeah, like our industry's based on petroleum, so it's like everything's, you know, we use gas engines. And
Right, but if there's some vibrational form of energy like that Tesla theory, then you could have a completely different type of technology. So, yeah, I think that's plausible. All right, moving on.
Famous Incan road that is as long as 40,000 kilometers, which, by the way, is so long that even including modern highways, it would be the second longest road ever constructed.
So
Good time to mention that they didn't use
I'm
a
gonna
wheel, right?
skip to the end because we've been kind of alluding to aliens off and on here, and that's where he goes. Let's see. But these are like.
Yeah, he jumps to aliens.
Which make no
later.
blasted sense to me, but.
Everybody just concludes aliens.
Yeah.
That's a popular thing
Yeah.
right now.
Because, I mean, heaven forbid that your granddad be smarter than you. It has to be aliens.
Yeah. Don't you know everybody died at like 14 years old?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. They were.
There was no old
They were
people
still
ever.
hitting their women with clubs and dragging in the caves back then. They couldn't have built tunnels. You insane?
They didn't have pitchforks. What are you talking about?
This is
Hey, look, an ad.
to meet any brief. When the brief calls for complex
Hey, our first
structure,
ad of the
let
day.
AI map.
Was never proven.
All right, so now we're gonna get into aliens, and we'll stay here for a few minutes and call it good.
Oh boy.
Aliens.
Now, this is where this interview with this native comes in. This was published by Dakota of Earth in 2021 in Sonora, Mexico. Check this out.
This town, a lot of people are in communication with extraterrestrials. A lot.
The whole town.
And it's very common.
In contact with them, how?
Heck
Like
yeah.
through taking like medicine or just normal?
Just normal. His uncle who made this for us, he's all the time, if there's something, I don't know, a motor or something that needs to be repaired and nobody knows how to repair it, they go to him, and when he dreams, they come to him and they tell him how to fix it. And he fixes it.
And by dreams, he means YouTube.
DreamTube.
He finds a how-to channel and says the aliens did it.
The aliens. I talked to the aliens, man.
Oh, that proves it, guys.
And Pancho's father, he's traveling all of his life with them. They come and they take him to other planets, they train him, they cure him, they show him things. And a lot of people here are like this.
Says that the uncle also told them that where the water is very deep, they also go into the water and transforms into something else. Says that sometimes under the little boat, they will see like a huge circle, underneath it.
No son delfines ni era ni mantarraya grande, era un círculo grande.
It's curious how many of these tribes all over the world talk about seeing the same thing. UFOs, aliens, and how they possibly helped build some of these ancient sites.
Technically, it would be a swimming object, since it was under the water, but okay. Yeah, so basically these guys, if you couldn't hear that on the podcast, basically these guys are claiming that they're seeing, I guess, disc-shaped objects going through the water. That was all that was. Yeah. And they've got a big lexicon of aliens here. I think that's the right word. Doesn't matter. And they're going to show it to some tribal guys. And the tribal guys are going to say, we seen that one.
Não, mas folheia aqui, vai. Vê se vocês já viram algum ser desses aqui. É só uma curiosidade, gente. Pode folhear se quiser. Esse aqui você já viu alguma coisa assim?
Esse chama-se Mayushibu.
Isso aqui?
Sim.
Mayushibu.
Mankunawabu.
Sério?
In that language, it actually means
No.
bull crap and bull crap. So,
Yeah, it's just making
Yeah.
stuff up, dude.
the over-the-top headdress wasn't a clue. These aren't showmen or
Right,
anything.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we've beaten this dead horse. I'm
Oh, it's beaten and kicked.
so much more interesting when I watch this by myself. When we get in a group, though, and I start watching it, I'm like, what was I thinking? This is stupid. Anyway. All right. Well, I'm done with this unless anybody's got any final thoughts. You're good? All right. Trevor, you good?
Yeah.
Let's roll
on. All right, so we're going to move on to part 3. Speaking of aliens, we're moving on to P Diddy. So if you are on the live stream, keep going. We're going to talk about P Diddy. And if you're watching this after the fact, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, on to part 3. I guess since this was my subject for the week, I will do the intro.
P Diddy.
Now, there's a couple angles we can go with this, but let me just do the intro first. So, welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Tri-F Podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. And today, P Diddy got away with it. But what exactly did he get away with? We'll talk about that here in a second. So, guys, Trevor, we'll start with you. How are you?
P Diddy and good.
That means terrible. Anyway.
Yeah, that's not good. But...
It means guilty as sin.
Help me, save me.
Guilty as sin. Okay. All right.
Sin is always guilty.
That's true. Cody, how are you?
I'm doing swell, buddy.
Sweet. Okay, so there's two angles that we can go with this particular story, starting with P. Diddy's demons. I watched this all the way through. Trevor, this is Bob Larson. He's talking about...
Bob Larson.
I don't know how much you want to watch this, good sir, because he basically calls all of the society a bunch of perverts, and P. Diddy has a lust demon, which I didn't need him to tell me that. But it's like, what? A rapper has a lust problem? You're kidding. So...
Yeah, this was actually his life.
Oh, so he was just going off the cuff. Yeah. So is there any particular part of this you want to watch at the beginning, middle, end?
No, I just listened to it and was like, hey, this would be a good subject.
Okay, so it's just a general refresher. Well, I too have a refresher. So do you want to watch the Bob Larson one, or do you want to move on to another video? Is there something on the Bob Larson one you want to say? We'll watch it. Why not? I've already teased it, so... Maybe we should just go on. We'll give him a couple minutes to make his point, and then we'll move on.
The trial and the outcome of the accusations against Sean Combs, P. Diddy, as he's known, billionaire rap star, who has been for months in a Manhattan courtroom facing the possibility of life in prison, and now he's pretty well gotten up. I have some comments about this I wanted to share, and I can only do it live right now while things are just fresh in your mind. But this ties into the podcast that I'm going to be doing tonight about how to stop demonic sex attacks at night. You know, some years ago, when I wrote my book on Jezebel, I had finished the book, and then I decided to include at the end of the book a chapter on the subject of incubus, demonic cohabitation, spirits attacking women. Succubus is the counterpart with men, when the demon assumes female proportions. And it was very brave of the publisher and quite groundbreaking for me to talk about that in a Christian book. Well, that's been 10 or so years ago. And since then, the extent to which demonic sexual attacks are now out in the open as a kind of almost normalized thing of people involved in that kind of black magic and New Age phenomena. It's now an epidemic. I would say of the people who come to me for personal virtual deliverance and exorcism sessions, almost half of the women and probably 25 to 30% of the men include on their intake profile something to do with dreams and nocturnal experiences of being attacked by demons in a sexual nature.
In other words, it's called catfishing from hell, almost as bad as TikTok. So, anyway. So he basically is saying that P. Diddy had a sex problem, and we kind of already knew that. But there's a more interesting aspect to this whole thing that has not gotten the proper attention. Speaking of which, Cash Bongino, still waiting on those videos, buddies. Where they at? Where they at? Not letting it go.
We have
not letting it go. Well, we have the video. We have the evidence. So you'll just trust us, brah. So,
if you've worked in jails as long as I have, this was
totally. Anyway, just whenever you're ready, we'll be waiting for those videos. Just so you know. Anyway, so Epstein and P. Diddy had a common link, and we're going to talk about that right now, starting with the one and only Viva Fry.
Who's Viva Fry?
Got acquitted on the
politics guy, but there's a particular angle with this P. Diddy trial that has not gotten enough attention. All right.
Let's listen.
most serious charges, and he 3 most serious charges, which was RICO and 2 counts of sex trafficking, and he was found guilty on the 2 lesser charges of violation of the Mann Act, in that he transported across state lines women for the purposes of prostitution. I flipping called it, and I'm sorry if this is repetitive for those of you who saw my car vlog while I was on the road. I flipping called it so good that even I was somewhat impressed. I said, like, I as the verdict came down, like, holy crap, I remember having said exactly this. Diddy is going to get convicted on 2 minor charges, the ones to which he's dead in the water, transporting for the purposes of prostitution across state lines, and he's going to get acquitted on the sex trafficking, because a condemnation would bring up the issue of whether or not he was actually trafficking and to whom, although according to the prosecution, we'll get into that in a second, he was only trafficking for the purposes of his own pleasure. He's going to get convicted on the 2 lesser charges, acquitted on the 3 big charges. He's going to go to jail for a few years. Federal, I think you can get out after 85% of time served.
Hey,
now
look
we
at
gotta go help
that.
people customize and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Maybe where's the golf cart?
Case closed.
All right, he's
everyone
not
walks
doing
away.
a proper setup for this, just so I guess I will really quick. So, basically, P Diddy was doing the exact same thing that Jeffrey Epstein was doing, only with Hollywood celebs more so, rather than like billionaires and scientists and stuff. Hence, these picture of scantily clad, in other words, just in her underwear, J-Lo, and a bunch of other actresses and actors that were we've already seen pictures of them in vulnerable positions during these parties. So it was evident that this was another blackmail racket, right? And including basically the CIA trafficking kids with your taxpayer dollars, mind you. So it's the same thing that we've been talking about every time we bring the Epstein stuff up. Now, what they've started doing to cover for this garbage is they did to P Diddy exactly what they did with Ghislaine Maxwell. They reduced her charges so they wouldn't have to talk about the aspect where the CIA and the FBI are involved. So they didn't talk about the blackmail racket. They basically reduced the charges down to trafficking. And so in that way, the trial itself became a cover-up. So they basically said, oh, see, we put these people in prison. There's nothing to see here, while conveniently admitting the CIA, FBI, the NSA's hand in all of this. So in Robert Barnes's words, I think he summed it up best, the trial is the cover-up. And this is evidenced by the
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Jen. It has been a while. It's good to see you. She says, hello, fellas. How y'all doing? It's been a while. Indeed. So, basically, Marina Comey, basically James Comey's daughter, is the one leading this trial. She's also the one that had the terabyte that was helping to sit on the terabytes of information regarding Epstein's Island. So every time one of these blackmail racket cases comes up, you see her moving around in the periphery, hiding the evidence. And that's what these guys are talking about. That's what Viva Frei is eventually going to lead into. So, not a conspiracy theory at all.
So it's almost like the CIA is the devil's hand, and he's just tricking people into.
Yeah, it's all blackmail racket with your taxpayer dollars. It's all blackmail racket. You're trafficking kids if you're taxpayer
So is the CIA
dollars.
Satan?
Maybe the thugs is Satan. I don't know.
I mean, like the physical manifestation.
Nah, I think the physical manifestation is Satan's probably the oligarchs that pay them. But, because, yeah, these guys are basically paid. They're mercenaries. CIA, FBI, NSA, these guys are mercenaries for the oligarchs, the bankers, whoever's actually, like, ruling the world, as it were. They're just acting as the foot soldiers. So,
yeah.
I'd
love to know who that is, though.
Yeah, it would be nice to know, but
maybe it's Obama.
There are so many theories. Some people say the Houdins. Some people say Catholics. Some people say Freemasons. I personally think it's the bankers and the old money, like the robber barons and the old money out of Europe. I think it's that bunch, personally.
The Book of Mammon.
How about the Book of Mammon? I don't know what that's referring to.
It's the Book of Mammon.
Oh, I just made it
that
up
makes
just
sense,
now.
yeah. It's like, what are you talking about? So, anyway, yeah, so they're basically covering up their blackmail operation by basically convicting P. Diddy of lesser charges. And that's what Viva Frei is going to talk about, and he's going to go into some more detail.
And then we don't actually ever discover what the hell actually was really going on. Listen to this from May 2025. Viva on with Megyn Kelly.
You have this entire blackmail extortion.
No, he's just saying that everybody and the dog screamed their heads off that this was going to happen, and it did. Because the playbook is incredibly obvious now, but Pam Bondi and Bongino and Cash keep acting like there's nothing to see here, even though the entire country's figured out the game. That's his point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see now.
Ring. They went and raided Diddy's house. There were cameras there. We know that it involves, the higher ups in the entertainment industry, if not the world of politics as well. And this entire prosecution
Jen says they want you in the dark. I agree. I completely agree.
To P. Diddy and what we know of his abuse of Cassie and potentially Jane. And then once you flesh out the fact that for whatever the reason, Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter, is still involved as one of this trial. This trial is a show trial because they're going to get him on something. It might just be the, trafficking for prostitution purposes, which seems undeniable. Send him away for 10 years. Maybe he gets out after 8. And then you've successfully covered up the entire extortion ring that P. Diddy was running, much like what they did with Epstein.
Oh, that's very interesting.
By the way, the only error in my calculation there is...
I want to just point out Megyn Kelly's reaction. She's sitting here nodding because she knows. And then she goes, oh, that's very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, she knows it because she's nodding, but she's just going to say, yeah, maybe. It's like, no, there is no yeah, maybe. That's exactly what they're doing.
I get paid to not say that, though.
I don't know. It's just like, why? The reticence of people to admit this is like just infuriating to me because it's been obvious since Epstein. First of all, we talked about it before. People have been screaming this has been going on since like the 70s or something like that. 70s or 80s. They've been doing this blackmail racket thing. So we've had people claiming this for years. Now it's out in the broad daylight and people are still like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. It's like, no, it's exactly what's happening. Anyway,
Jen said, people who have eyes will see, and those who hear will hear. The signs can't slap you in your face any harder.
I agree. It's like just painfully obvious. It's like watching a slow car wreck and just screaming, stop, but nobody does. So, all right.
Stop, no, don't.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Or what's that Willy Wonka line? Stop, don't, come back.
10 years was max for those charges, and he could get less, and then he serves 85% of less. It's exactly what happened. And I've got to highlight this because people seem to be forgetting this. Maureen Comey was one of the prosecutors in the Epstein case. Epstein winds up allegedly taking his own life in one of the most secure, I don't know if it's most secure, but he ends up taking his own life allegedly.
Jane says, LOL, glad I never seen it. First one's good. Second one's debatable. Willy Wonka's, I mean.
The Metropolitan
I think that's
Detention
what she's
Center.
referring to.
And I say, even if he, in fact, by his own hands took his own life, that begs the
Yeah,
conspiracy.
she said yes. So, yeah, I would recommend the first one. I'm a little more debatable in the second one. Johnny Depp doesn't do bad. He's just not Gene Wilder. So, anyway.
Yeah.
If you're going to watch a Gene Wilder movie, watch Blazing Saddles.
Or The Producers.
There
The
you go.
Producers is great. I love The Producers. And Young Frankenstein. Young Frankenstein's awesome.
Yeah, fair enough.
How that was allowed to happen for someone who was on suicide watch, taken off suicide watch 2 weeks earlier, then allegedly mysteriously magically left alone in his cell with sufficient extra linens to successfully hang himself. Even if he did it that way, that is a conspiracy that needs to be looked into, fleshed out, and answers need to be provided for. Okay.
Jen says, love Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor together. I loved, was it Hear No Evil, See No Evil? That was the only Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor one I saw where they were together, and that one was great. I do enjoy that one a lot. That one's fantastic.
Thank you.
Maureen Comey was one of the prosecutors in that case of sex trafficking that went nowhere. Maureen Comey was one of the lead prosecutors in the prosecution of Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's partner in crime, daughter of Robert Maxwell, with his ties to...
Jen says, and the other, they were in prison together. I don't remember the name of that one. Anyway, they're a great pair. They were a great pair. That was a fantastic... What a time. That was a better time for comedy. Yeah.
All right.
Israeli intelligence, government intelligence throughout the world. Ghislaine Maxwell convicted and sentenced to, I think it's 20 years in jail, although from what I understand, the conditions of where she's being held are somewhat similar to Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We'll get into that in a bit as well. 20 years for sex trafficking to nobody. And they got the conviction and the world went on with no answers as to what the hell was going on with Epstein's blackmail and extortion ring. Diddy was running an Epstein blackmail and extortion ring for the entertainment industry. My humble opinion, based on the evidence as I know it. Mansions with rooms cameraed up so that you could get video footage of freak-offs to use as blackmail and extortion against various people. Although according to the trial, we're only supposed to believe it was Cassie and Jane Doe and only for the pleasure of Diddy. You have a house that has cameras set up everywhere. You have something of an Epstein type, not a gaming area, though I think that's probably what people would consider it, but you have an infrastructure set up to capture blackmail material video. He gets raided. Lord knows where all of this evidence went. And the prosecution is for sex trafficking to nobody. And he gets acquitted on the sex trafficking and the RICO, maybe even rightly so, to the extent that...
Jane says, yeah, good times. And then she says, now I'm waiting for Jay-Z. They've been saying his name on the internet. I don't know if he's tied into this or not.
He's got to be. He's got too much power.
Perhaps.
Way too much power.
If you want power in that arena, you have to have blackmail. It just kind of goes.
Yeah, I feel like that to get up to a certain level, you have to start doing things so people have dirt on you.
Yep. The ones that go against the grain, like Tupac, they get shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Or have to fake their deaths.
Yeah.
Whatever you do.
Oh, gosh.
If indeed he was only procuring and trafficking sex for himself, maybe that's not what people mean by sex trafficking under the law. But they prosecuted him for sex trafficking, so presumably they thought he was trafficking, but in the end, he was only trafficking to himself, and the jury acquits, and there was no racketeering, intimidation, corruption, criminal organizations. He gets off on the three biggest charges that could have landed him in jail for the rest of his life, and gets convicted on the two lesser charges, which he was dead in the water relating to. But I want to remind everybody and refresh everybody's memory here. How is Maureen Comey?
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete...
I'm sure that ad was completely coincidental.
That was based. Yeah. It was based.
Jen says, yes, poor Aaliyah. Commercial, yeah. Yeah, that commercial was poorly timed. Sure it was an accident. Maureen Comey, not Marie Comey or whatever it was I said. Maureen Comey. That's such an... Anyway, all right.
Jeffrey Epstein. Details explored as Melanie King accused Diddy, prosecutor, of multi-high-profile cover-ups. This is July 3rd. Now, this is from Sports Kita. Take it with a grain of salt. This is Vaishnavi Sa. I don't know who that is.
Salty.
The 8-member prosecutor team... Wait. The 8-member prosecutor team, which included Assistant United States Attorney Maureen Ryan Comey. Who names the woman Ryan as a middle name? Oh, yeah, James Comey does. A man who still hasn't been arrested for threatening the life of Donald John Trump. We'll set that aside.
Hey, and remember how Cash and Bongino were like, oh, you've caused us so much trouble. We're going to do something about you. And then crickets. Yeah. It's not, they're not owned or anything or blackmailed or whatever.
No. You just get told what to say.
And no, Pam Bondi could have removed Maureen Comey anytime she wanted. Anytime she wanted. Like the people, like our administration supposedly is in charge. She didn't have to lead this prosecution. Why didn't she get fired with that other guy from the Southern District of New York? He wasn't the only one in charge of holding on to those files. Sorry, Trevor, you're going to say something?
Jen said they are held hostage.
Yeah, I agree. And everybody was saying that Fox News interview looked like a hostage video. It was crazy. Especially if you've watched them for years, to see the contrast between who they used to be and who they are now. Like, it's just startling. Like, that's what fear looks like. Like, real, actual fear.
Yep.
Faced a major setback as the jury cleared the rapper of the most serious charges, racketeering, sex. However, they convicted him onto transportation to engage in prostitution. Yeah. Reflecting on the verdict, YouTuber Melanie King questioned whether Diddy had been saved by a, quote, deep state, end quote. She added that despite the damning evidence and weeks of shocking testimonies, he still walked away with not guilty on the biggest charges. Okay, we're going to be able to get
this
crazy website.
And if the prosecution actually suffered a setback, why were they smiling? Because that's what everybody said. They were the prosecution. Witnesses said the prosecution and the jurors were smiling at the end of the verdict. So if it was such a horrible setback, why was the prosecution happy about P. Diddy only getting hit with the lesser two charges? It's almost like they wanted that.
Because they made more money.
Well, I don't know if they made money, but they certainly wanted that outcome. And that was certainly the desired result. So,
is it normal to have 8 prosecutors on a case?
I think so. If it's like a big team, like if it's a big case, yeah, they'll have a lot of lawyers working on it. So.
Jen said, did I listen to Dan on the radio blast the shit out of the fact he didn't commit Harry Carey?
I don't recall hearing that, but he did. I will.
What is Harry Carey?
That I don't know. I will say he talked a
Dirty Harry.
He talked a big game. He talked a big game before taking this job, though. He was Captain Tough Guy before all this came out, and then it's like eyes as big as quarters while he's trying to tell you he's telling the truth.
And he sweats like crazy.
Yeah, that's called fear. I mean, Dan said he didn't commit suicide, right? Yeah. Pretty much.
Who's Dan?
Bongino. Dan Bongino.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Robert Barnes just refers to them as Bongino and Cash. So.
Yeah.
Jen said she used to listen to him on the radio every day.
Yeah, from what I understand, he was quite the firebrand. I'd seen a few clips of him. I know Alex Jones and him were in contact at one point. I don't think they like each other now, though. But that was before the whole thing with the Epstein files, though. They had a falling out, from what I understand. But anyway, it's pretty embarrassing. And this trial was embarrassing as well, just because everybody knew what was going to happen before, basically from day one.
Out of here. King further accused Comey of playing a key role in directing the outcome. Let me just do this here. Let's try this again. Exit page. Piece of crap. This is why you don't go to garbage websites. All right, here we go. King further accused Comey of playing a key role in directing the outcome of the trial, claiming that she is tied up to several high-profile cover-ups. Maureen Comey was one of the lead prosecutors in the case against Jeffrey Epstein before his death by suicide. Okay, there you go. She played a key role as a lead prosecutor in the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell, who was found guilty on child sex trafficking in connection with Epstein. But nobody. Did Maureen Comey throw this case? Melanie King lists red flags against Comey and Diddy trial. We can skip the rest of this. Did she throw the case, or did they overcharge to the point of resulting in this acquittal on the 3 major charges? I'm inclined to think that this was intended to be a limited, is it the word limited hangout? I don't think so. This was intended to be a limited hangout of a prosecution, if we can accept that analogy. They were going to prosecute Diddy for a tip of the iceberg of what he did, but only that tip of the iceberg, and not explore the 90% submerged under the water, hope to get him convicted on the tip of the iceberg stuff without having to explore the actual sex trafficking and the actual blackmail and extortion ring, and hope that they get a conviction. But even if they don't, they'll get a conviction on something so they can say, hey, we got a little small W. We didn't get the big W on the tip of the iceberg stuff, which would have still been the big cover-up. And now we sure as sugar are not looking into the rest of that iceberg. That's what they were doing in this.
I agree. Jen says, my slaying is little aged. I'm 55 years old. I'm half foot in the grave already. Be optimistic. We believe in you. You're not half foot in the grave.
Yeah. I mean, you told me that earlier.
That's true, but
I'm only 35.
You look your age, though. No, I'm kidding. It's okay. I feel it too. All right. Let's see. Moving on, we're gonna move on to this. This is Benny Johnson. So that gave you a pretty good summation of what's going on. They threw the trial to hide the CIA's involvement in it. Everybody knows they did it, but nobody wants to admit it. Because that would require actually doing something about the CIA and the FBI and the NSA and all these other guys.
Can't do that.
No, we can't do that. We have to trust our institutions. So...
Jen said, "Oh, I got miles left, but not another 55. Nor do I want to."
Gotcha. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I gotcha. So, all right, this next one, Diddy's producer drops verdict altering bombshell. Says jury in Diddy trial was bought off corrupt. Okay.
Bombshell.
If I never see another YouTube video with the word bombshell in it, it'll be too soon.
I'm gonna put bombshell in every one of ours from now on.
You add it after the fact. Shouldn't have gave you the password.
Just bombshell.
Just bombshell.
I'm just gonna label them bombshell from here on out.
Oh gosh. Yeah, apparently that's an algorithm word. It drives me.
Yeah, what's sad is our views will probably.
Oh my
go
gosh,
up.
you're right. You're right. If you just want to sell your soul a little bit, just a little bit at a time, your views will go right up.
This video was a bombshell. We were talking about bombshells.
That's right. We need to make a video about bombs, and then we can call it bombshell because it's literally about the shell of a bomb. There we go. And then people will get mad because then we clickbaited them. So.
Or we bombshelled
them. All right.
Hello.
Jen says, LOL, I get tired of tea. Gotcha. I can't drink tea.
Sweet tea.
Yeah, switch cup of tea. Earl Grey.
Hey, a lot of people do that.
Yeah, they do. They do. Anyway, so let's see.
Why is this guy wearing?
I don't know, and it looks like his.
Oh, spill the tea.
Oh, okay, got it.
That's what she meant.
Yeah, it looks like somebody's great-great-grandmother from the 1800s crocheted a hat for him. I don't know why he's wearing it, but you look like a sunflower.
Probably,
good for you.
Probably to preserve his haircut.
Oh, yeah, maybe he just got like a perm? I don't know. Yeah.
Perm. Yeah.
That is a great hat.
Thank you so much.
that I'm not sure if there's a story there, but the floor
Bonnet.
is yours.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Bonnet.
That's the word.
All right. In your reaction to this Diddy trial ruling that he is found guilty on 2 charges, but the big charges he's been acquitted on. Your experience with Diddy, the floor is yours.
Well, I'll say I'm still processing it, but it's important to know that it's still a win. It's a win-win. Sean Combs has, for over 3 decades, been able to escape and not answer to any crimes that he's done. And I've successfully been able to make it where he has to answer to some crime. He's now a 2-time felon. He's a sex offender. And the fight is not over. I'm hearing that there might be more charges coming to him. And also, I personally know that there are a lot of evidence that they did not bring to this case. So I'm hearing that they're talking about.
Jen says, I got 2 bonnets. Not crocheted, though. Yeah, that seems like it'd be a lot of work to crochet a bonnet like that. I don't know.
Be fun, though.
If I was interviewing this guy and he wore that hat, I wouldn't say a single word about it.
Just let it hang.
Ridiculous.
I'm giving you no attention. You don't deserve it.
No.
It was a cheap trick, sir.
A lot of people wear bonnets to bed to preserve their haircut.
What about on a high-profile interview?
A high-profile...
Yeah, probably not.
Maybe you should, I don't know, wear something not ridiculous.
Just a sense of
like a Dragon Ball
just a
Z
sense of
hat.
indignation. You just see Cody's face slowly turning red as the interview goes on. Just like, you attention hungry little Liana.
Yeah.
Ball warmers.
My mom used to make ball warmers.
Oh man, that sounds awesome. I would wear those.
I don't think that's what she meant, but okay.
I'm not sure.
All right, let's see here. I'm skipping ahead. Lil Rod, producer suing Diddy for $30 million, speaks out in an interview. He's a monster, and
his name is Lil Rod. I mean,
you know, you would think if you're gonna wear a bonnet, like Bonnet would be in your rapper name, like Little Bonnet, Little Bonnet Blue.
Jen said yes, twig and berries.
Oh,
yeah, I'd wear those.
Okay.
Sure.
Heck yeah, I'd wear it.
With the arson, the Kid Cudi, all the threats and everything.
Good for you guys. I wouldn't. Just so you know.
Why not? It'd be warm.
It'd be awesome, dude.
Okay. I'm uncomfortable. We're gonna move on.
Oh, we're about to be even more now.
I know, with the subject coming up is gonna. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to see the type of behavior that he's capable of doing and have done. He's a monster.
No, you're fine, Jen. It's gonna get a lot worse later on, so don't worry. So it's fine.
Just to give you a little bit, someone on my team was flipped. He did flip them, and I don't know if you have any kids or anything, but I do. They threaten my kids. You know what I'm saying? They threatened me. They hired a private investigator to start following my people and tracking down and trying to turn people against me. I've had all types of threats, phone calls from people I know, don't know, in a whole 9 yards. So I simply last year had to move.
Jen says that's what they do. I was actually going to comment on that. Yeah, I'm thinking the they he's referring to is the CIA. I don't know if it's Diddy's people so much as the Fed.
Or a mix of both.
Maybe. I will say this about his hat. Nobody's going to remember what he looks like. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's just to attract
that
attention.
Might be the point.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Can I give them the ones I don't like very much? There you go.
You sure can.
Where I didn't even go outside to take out the trash. That's how afraid that I was. I've seen certain things behind closed doors with this guy being present that is just crazy. You know what I'm saying? So the best thing that I could do was to go hiding because they were for sure looking for me. I don't know if you guys know, but Cassie case did not bring or trigger this case that the feds did. It was what I did that triggered this. I also sat down with them for about 5 days just to discuss all of the evidence and a lot of things that I seen over there, which gave them the right to go do the raid. And they found guns there, defaced. They found drugs. I told them about, the drug mule and everything. He was loading the plane with drugs in a fanny pack that day. So a lot of things that I said were found to be true, but some of those things did not come up in the trial. And I'm pretty sure that they have an angle and a reason why, which they did say that they're going to bring more charges.
Now, that's very interesting. There's a lot of speculation about those private jets that were flown into the Bahamas from Diddy's multiple mansions and what was on those planes. You're saying that there were drugs on the planes?
Well, I can't tell you exactly what was on those planes on that specific day. However, when they did catch Brendan Paul, he did have a fanny pack with drugs, and he did plead guilty to that, and he did testify in this trial. So I'm not aware if he had drugs on that day. There's lots of rumors. Of course, I just heard you guys talking about him being an informant for the feds, specifically the FBI since the 90s, etc. there's rumors going on that Christina Quorum KK has
Jin says
tied
absolutely there was.
as to the cartels or a family member or something of that sort. You know what I'm saying? It's so many things that are being said, and I believe a lot of it is true. But I can't tell you on that specific day if he had drugs transporting back and forth because I wasn't there. In fact, I was hiding.
What about this allegation? What about this allegation that he's the Epstein of the music industry? Have you seen anything like that? I mean, obviously we've heard some of the testimony. He's been found guilty, of course, of prostitution, violations of what's called the Mann Act. But maybe you could detail like what you've witnessed, and maybe what more charges the federal government could bring here. Because Little Rod, most people are like, wow, he's probably going to go free here. That's what Dershowitz just said.
Yeah, I doubt if he's going to go totally free. But in the same token, this is not a surprise to me. I mean, we've seen him do just poof, make anything just disappear that happens. You know what I'm saying? But this guy has been, again, he's been allegedly a foreman for over 30 years.
I will say he will do a little bit of time. The fall guy's always got to do time. Yeah.
Jen said, hell yeah, he was the host. And then too many people died around him.
I don't know if people died around him or not. Too many. Okay, too many. So maybe they have, yeah. Okay. What I know is basically when this stuff came up, there were pictures of celebrities, one of them being J-Lo, running around scantily clad with the man. And then right around the same time, J-Lo's going, yeah, we need to vote for Kamala. It kind of made me wonder if the picture was kind of a message to her to get in line because they were rallying the troops as fast as possible. But that's a conjecture on my part. But yeah, he was said to be the Epstein of the music industry. And that's, an informant, as it were. So yeah, he'll do a little bit of time, but it'll be superficial. In fact, it may just end up being... I don't think some people were saying he's going to end up doing time served. I don't think it's going to go that far. I think they'll make him do it maybe a year, maybe 2 years, just long enough for people to move on, and then they'll let him out for good behavior or something.
They'll do community service.
It's got to be a little bit of jail time because they want people to forget. The point of doing a trial-like cover-up is to make people forget. And so they'll wait a couple years till people get tired of talking about it, and then he'll just be quietly released.
Jen said, come on, when he arrived, he had a concert back in the day. People died. I see them sacrificed.
I'll have to look into that. That wouldn't surprise me.
That's crazy.
It's all about de-evolving the public. So, yeah. Jen says yes. So I will try to look that up and see what I can find on that. But yeah, he will do a little bit of time. Enough until people get tired of hearing about it. And they'll probably do the same thing with Maxwell as well. She'll, in a few years, when people quit talking about the videos that Bongino and Cash promised, they'll quietly let her go. But we're not going to let it go. We're going to be here with our 101, 102 subscribers going, where are the videos, Cash? Where are they at?
Apparently he wore fluffy pink.
He wore fluffy pink. Oh, my goodness. What is it with these audacious colors in these rappers? I'll never understand that. Like Flavor Flav, he had that giant clock around him. I'm just like, why? Like,
it's representative of the gods or something.
You think so?
It'd be, like Kronos.
I hadn't heard that. Time. Huh.
I haven't either. I just made it up.
I'm gullible. You can't do that to me. So.
He's gotten away with a lot of things. He's got power. You know what I'm saying? He's got a lot of money and he's been doing this. God knows who he knows. If you look at it, the prosecutors had attorneys, but he had 2 attorneys per their 1 attorney. So for example, they had 5 attorneys, he had 10. You know what I'm saying? And if you look in that courtroom, a lot of the attorneys that he had represented some of the biggest mob gangsters, or you know what I'm saying, etc. I'm told one of the attorneys represented Trump. You know what I'm saying? not only that,
Yes.
How does it make a difference if you have more attorneys or not?
Well, just more people to look over more minutia in the law and try to find precedent. I think a lot of these guys spend a lot of time studying like case studies and stuff and trying to find loopholes in pre-existing cases that are similar to present to the judge. The more attorneys you have, the more information you can go through. So I think that's why they do that.
I got you.
Mark Garagos, who's I personally seen, I was there the first 2 days of the court. I seen him run into and talk to Puff's attorneys, then run right outside and talk to TMZ, which was helping to shape the narrative to the public inside the courtroom. So it's so many things that I was seeing happening that was just like nobody else can do. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the jurors were tampered with and we just don't know about it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm still processing everything that has happened, is happening, and is going to happen. We all don't know, but what we do know is he is a 2-time convicted felony, and he's a sex offender.
So you're saying that based on your knowledge of how Diddy operates, and you said that he threatened your children and yourself, that he may have gotten to the jury and may have tampered with the jury.
It's a high possibility. It's a high possibility. This one of the investigators called my kid mother and my 8-year-old at the time.
Jen asked, why don't they bring in Gene Deal?
I don't know who that is. You have to let us know who that is, Jen. I like Benny Johnson, but good night. The man was presenting it as a hypothetical. This title suggests that he has some reason to believe the jury was bought off. I hate clickbait. I got clickbaited.
Where's the bombshell?
His old bodyguard. That's a good question. Probably because he knows the CIA. He's probably involved in the upper level stuff. Anybody that might have been involved in the high level stuff, they kept out of the trial. They just focused specifically on what they called the freak-offs of Cassie and I think one other girl, and made it more about the abuse and the stuff that he did with those, on a more, what would you call it, a smaller level. So
he was there when Biggie died.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I would say that the people like that were probably involved in some of the bigger high-stakes stuff he was with, and they wanted to keep all that evidence out of the trial. So the trial was the cover-up. So get him on the lesser charges, get everybody to shut up about it, and then move on to the next thing, hoping that the public has the memory of a goldfish. But I'm going to try to make sure we don't. And every episode we're going to go, Cash, Bongino, where's the videos at, guys? Come on.
Where's the purple?
Where's the purple? All right. With that, we're going to wrap this one up. So if you're on the live stream, stay with us. We got one more to go. If you're watching this after the fact, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. All right. Last subject for the night, gentlemen.
Yeah, that's right. They did say he was going to get a tape.
Yeah, they said they had a tape. It was amazing. It was like, we're going to show you the whole thing, all 12 hours of it. Then we got to make sure that they said something to the effect of we got to make sure the narrative's set up right. Then they said something to the effect of we're going to show you the unedited and the edited version. And then it became just like a clip, and then we never heard of it again. So they just kind of slow rolled it back. Apparently they weren't allowed to give out the tape. Drinks.
Mushroom is here.
And he says, drink saline fluids.
I'm good. I want to stay hydrated.
Okay, there you go. That'll work. And Jen says, yeah, I remember now because we know better. Yep, we know better. We know it was crap. They probably don't even have a tape because the cameras were shut off, but we're supposed to forget that too. They just had one working that just showed the hallway at the perfect angle. But, sure. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the last conversation of the night. Cody, I'm going to let you lead us in. Yeah, bring us in. Kick this off. Be gentle with me. I'm a prude. So.
Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or the Try F podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. Tonight, everybody's nervous. We're going to talk about choking the chicken.
Trevor's nervous. I'm shaking in my boots, but yeah, Trevor's fine. Trevor's fine. He'll be fine. I'm the one freaking out. But anyway, go on.
We're gonna listen to a couple of videos on people trying to justify masturbation. I'm very much against it. I don't know what you fellas think, but how are we tonight?
I'm fantastic. Just great. I'm going to drink saline fluid. I'm so happy. So.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. I don't know why you suggested that. Mushroom, please explain yourself. You're talking about like saline bags? Like bags of saline? Or salinated water? Because both sound like a terrible
Jen said,
Jen
come
said,
on, Trevor.
Damn, I could have waited for the ball warmers. Or I could have
Yeah, you were a little early on that one, Jen. So
yeah.
All right, so we got this first video here. We got this plucky
It prevents
doctor.
prostate cancer?
Oh yeah, allegedly. So,
I'll be right back.
all right, run while you can.
Of course
I'm Dr. Eric, urologic surgeon and men's health expert. Let's talk about why more sex and
First of all, those glasses are not flattering. I'm just going to point that out. That he makes him look very bug-eyed, which is not the look you want to have for this video. So.
No.
This is going to be fun, Jen. I agree.
My emphasis on the oh boy. So, anyway.
Masturbation may decrease prostate cancer risk.
Whoa, where's that glove going?
Right.
It just screams, trust me, I'm a doctor. I would know.
Yeah.
A number of
Trust the
studies
science.
have shown that increased frequency of ejaculation may decrease the risk of prostate cancer in men. A study from Harvard in 2016 with 32,000 men over an 18-year time frame.
She says I root for you guys in this. Thank you.
Men who ejaculated more than 20 times per month or more than 5 times per week had a 20% lower prostate cancer risk compared to men who ejaculated only 4 to 7 times per month. This was found for men in their 20s and in their 40s. This is a significant benefit in the study.
Okay, well, first of all,
Is
I
it
got to
though?
point out there is a distinction between ejaculation and masturbation. Those are not the same thing. So, note,
very
from
much
a
so.
philosophical argumentation standpoint, note the bait and switch in terms. I'm just going to point that.
I like your catch on that. And also note that this guy weighs 90 pounds. So if he believes what he's saying, I don't want to look like him. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we're going to say that's genetics.
Yeah,
we don't know exactly why frequent ejaculation has a protective effect, but it may be because it helps to clear potentially cancer-causing substances and inflammation from the prostate. Unfortunately, frequent ejaculation doesn't seem to be the perfect answer to prostate cancer.
Literally nobody thought that in the first place, so I don't know why you're saying unfortunately.
Importantly, we can't say that frequent ejaculation actually causes a decreased prostate cancer risk, only that it correlates to a lower prostate cancer risk. It's possible that men who ejaculate more frequently also have other healthy habits that are actually responsible for the decreased prostate cancer risk. Also, not all studies have shown this same protective benefit. In fact, a few much smaller studies have even shown the opposite result. Lastly, it doesn't appear to protect against the most aggressive types of cancer. Wait.
That's called a... we got baited and switched again.
Yeah. It's like, so the more I do it, the least likely I am to not have.
Oh, it's worse than that. He's like, okay, well, there was this one study that said maybe, but the guys that were doing it were doing other things that were healthier, so it might have been those things. And then there were other studies that said the opposite. There were more than one of them, but they
other
were
thing-
smaller than this one big one we did. So, and it's not going to get
Smaller
rid of
and
the
bigger,
prostate
what?
cancer that might kill you, just like the other forms of prostate cancer. So,
He's just word vomiting.
this is a
at this
waste
point.
of time.
Yeah.
Are also the most deadly types of cancer. The bottom line is, we don't really know the connection between ejaculation and prostate health yet, but we're working on it.
We're working on
We
it.
really want to believe it. We really want to believe this. We're going to try to prove it more.
Jen said, "It's no big deal, in my opinion. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. The flipping thing is attached
There you
to
go.
I'm crazy."
So this is literally quintessential clickbait. I don't know what else to call it. It's like, well, there was this one study that one time at band camp that said maybe. The rest of these, the rest of these say the opposite, but they're smaller. So, whatever. But we're working on
They
it.
don't count.
We're going to end the video with not definitely, we're working on it. So, yeah, that was it's wishful thinking, guy.
You have that next doctor video
Yeah, I got
queued
the
up?
next one queued up. Okay, so moving on. This one's another 2-minute sucker. Let's see what he has to say.
Okay, one question I get all the time, and this is a moving target, and there's no right answer. I'm just going to tell you right now, there is no right answer. It's an individual answer. Is it healthy to beat off or masturbate as a man or not? And, for some, with porn and all, it's gotten out of control. It's becoming an issue that people are talking about now because there are people that are, just constantly hitting the internet porn, and it's affecting their life. Either they're not, now they're not going out, they're not dating. And I think that is affecting our society. So from a societal standpoint, it's probably affecting things. And you hear all the time people that have a hard time performing, with their partner because, let's just face it, the partner's just generally not going to be as good as the porn you've been watching, which is just flowing and is whatever you want to do. So I think there is this movement out there to say, oh, why don't you take a break? It's almost like saying we're going to do dry January from alcohol. What if you kind of refrained from, masturbating, et cetera? Would that be good for you? Now, on the flip side, there's reports, and they come out all the time. They're not conclusive. There's no way that they're conclusive that link, hey, if you ejaculate regularly and if you masturbate regularly, that it's got sort of an anti-prostate cancer benefit, that there's less prostate cancer. So
Apparently that's
nobody
just one
really
study, but anyway.
knows the reality. But if someone's asking me in my office, it's a function of whether you deem it a problem for you. We're men. We are mammalian men, and we are supposed to masturbate. We are supposed to ejaculate. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to seek that. That's one of the reasons we leave the house when we're teenagers and we seek a mate. So that is not a weird biological thing. That's kind of what we are supposed to do. If we don't do that, I might imagine that we would start getting away from the built-in defense mechanisms biologically. And maybe if you don't masturbate, it's not good for you. And maybe it's not good for your prostate, et cetera. But we don't really know. But, if you're in a situation, if you're a young...
And you get blue balls.
There you go. Yeah.
person, you shouldn't have any problem ejaculating in front of a partner. And if you are, and it's because you're masturbating to porn all the time, then I guess from a psychological standpoint, it makes sense for you to hold off. From a societal standpoint, I guess. But if it's not causing any trouble in your life, you still have no problem with performance and you're happy, and you're just, happy that you don't have to put porno mags under your bed like I used to have to do when I was a kid, so be it. But if it's harming you, your relationships, and your life, then hold off.
Okay, so that guy wasn't as...
What are your thoughts, Gary?
Well, I'm looking at what Jen said. I know God said, thou shalt not spill thy seed, but it happens. Okay, so there's actually a specific biblical story. It's about Tamar and Judah's sons. I cannot remember the name of the guy. Actually, you two give your opinions. I'm going to look up that story because that is actually an interesting point. Biblically, there's a whole conversation that nobody can agree on either. So we'll just read that story. So you guys talk about yourself. I'm going to pull that up on Bible Gateway really quick.
My opinion is, you do you, boo boo. If you want to, go for it. But for me personally, it has become a health issue, so I had to quit.
Yeah.
For a while.
Absolutely psychologically damaging.
It is very. Well,
and I don't think it's actually good for you. I think it's good to hold that in because it's like it's your creative energy. Like
it does.
Literally your creative energy.
Yeah.
And so when you're draining that all the time, you have no drive to work. You have no drive to create things.
Yep.
And you lose your drive to chase your wife. You lose all kinds of things, and you just shouldn't do it. Period. As a man, I feel very confident in saying that.
Jen asked, "You go blind or what?"
I mean, if your right hands offend you,
cut it off.
Right.
So if your gallbladder offends you, cut it off.
I mean, if you're using your eyes for that purpose, I mean, it could cause you go blind, medically, I think.
You go blind to your wife and kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then they wind up leaving you partially.
I think it's also the cause of ED. It's all psychological.
Yep.
Stupid Terminator filled my.
And so anybody that preaches against masturbation, but then like they have an ad for Blue Chew on their channel, they're full of shit.
I actually kind of want to try that, but at the
Why?
same time, I don't want to.
Just don't masturbate. It'll come back.
Okay, 38. There we go. Genesis 38.
Which is true. It did.
Nice.
You know, the stranger's name is Rosie Red Palm and the Four Lovely Sisters.
No way, Jose. No way. I do want one of those crocheted palm.
Okay,
ones,
I found it. Bible Gateway was fighting me like a mother for some reason.
Because the demons don't want
I
you
guess.
to see it.
They don't want you to read the truth.
Yes. So, let's see. And Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. So back in the day when the husband died, the next brother in line, or one of the brothers, would take the wife and bear a child in that dead brother's name. So Onan was supposed to do that, and Onan knew that the seed should not be his, and it came to pass when he went unto his brother's wife that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Now, no, this is not condemning masturbation. This is condemning somebody not keeping their word. They're supposed to, honor the brother's name. He took advantage of the woman under that pretense and lied. And then God killed him for it. And the point of the story is that Tamar ends up, fathering a child in her initial husband's name anyway, in the end, after like 2 or 3 brothers do this, basically disguising herself as a prostitute and laying with Judah, the dad of these brothers. And, Judah tries to kill her because he thought she ran around. It turns out she did run around, but on him, so he said, never mind. So the point of the story is Tamar going out of her way to uphold her first husband's legacy. And so she's kind of the hero of the story. So it's not really about masturbation. It's not really the point. It's that these guys kept lying.
Is it the only thing in the Bible?
Well, from my research on the topic, the Bible doesn't say a whole lot on masturbation at all, unless you're going to go the route of translating, I think, porneia as sexual immorality, in which case some people try to use the term sexual immorality as a catch-all for any type of sexual behavior they label as a sin, which I'm not convinced is a very good argument. And from my understanding of the term fornication, and I could be wrong on this, it's been years since I looked into this. I don't like talking about this unless I have my sources cited, which I don't, so I'm speaking off the cuff. But from what I remember, the term fornication is based off porn and porneia, which means those who dwell under the arch. In other words, it's a specific condemnation of prostitution. So you basically have 2 types of sexual sin. In the Bible, you have adultery, which is sleeping with another man's wife, and you have prostitution, which is sleeping, with a prostitute. As far as the other stuff that people do, I don't think the Bible really says one way or the other, but some people claim that those other things are implicit and implied in the scripture, which, to me, I'm like, well, that's not good enough. You need something direct if you're going to make the case. So, in terms of whether or not masturbation is wrong for me, what I personally believe.
Yes. What do you think? Do you think it's good for you health-wise? Do you think it's good for you mental-wise?
This is going to sound bad, but health and mental-wise, I'm not super concerned about. I'm kind of more concerned about the morality. I think if it's moral, it'll be healthy. If it's immoral, it won't. That's kind of the way I look at it. So I don't know if it's healthy or not. What I know is basically the Bible says don't lust after other women that aren't your spouse. So if you masturbate without lusting over somebody who isn't your spouse, I would say you're probably fine. But, people might bicker with that. But that would be my simple explanation for it.
So is porn?
Porn is a sin. Porn's basically prostitution. It's just the economic model's changed.
I would agree.
Yeah. Porn's just the new form of prostitution.
Jesus said, if you lust after a woman, you've already had sex with her.
Yeah, right. It's a lust thing, but it's also Matt Walsh said this. I actually agree with him on this. It's taking sex and turning it into a transaction. And that's really the core flaw of it. Like, sex is an act of covenant, and anything that you do with regards to sexuality is going to be basically, is it affirming your marital relationship or is it not? And everything should be seen in that context. So that would be is it helping your marriage? Is it not helping your marriage? Would be the short answer.
Right.
So if you masturbate while thinking about your spouse, I think you're fine. Because in theory, I would think, even if you're not with them, because in theory, like the way, from again, what I understand, memory, no sources, from what I understand, that stuff, the dopamine surges kind of create neural pathways. Well, if you're associating sexuality with your wife or with your spouse, then you're basically reaffirming that covenant, at least in your head. So it should make things better for you in the bedroom, I would assume. But that would be my guess. But again, I'm not an expert on this topic, and I would default to people who know more. But
what about? Oh, go ahead.
When I quit, I had to actually it was like I almost broke a contract with myself. But I mean, I'm no one, so I was breaking a contract with a demon in my head.
Yeah.
Right. And I had to give autonomy of my shaft to my wife. Like, that it doesn't belong to me. It's
like,
not
right, like your body isn't yours, it's your spouse's.
Yeah, that part of it.
I think that's a fair way to look at it.
And it really helped my relationship a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. When you make that commitment, you become one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so if you're playing with images in your head, I mean, you're talking to demons, bro.
There are people who hold your opinion. I'm not convinced of it, but that's not an uncommon view of it. So I would have to cite sources and really study it to try to make up my mind. So I'm assuming there are comments in the comment section.
Jen said, LMFAO, dude, the thing needs relief, and you handle that if the wife isn't handy.
No, then you take that creative energy and you turn it into something external, and you build something, you create something, you do something with your business. You turn that energy into something else. That's what men do. That's what they're supposed to do.
So you'd argue that angst is just energy that you could transfer and turn into something else.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, there you go.
And I quit like 4 or 5 years ago. Haven't touched it. So.
And it's been a good thing for you.
It's
been great.
Awesome.
What's your opinion on wet dreams?
Demons. I've every time I've had one, I've been in a very, very vulnerable state.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
I think they're demons.
Jen said, or if she ain't giving you any.
Well, then I need to improve as a husband. If she's not giving me any, then I'm not chasing her. I'm not doing my job. Like, I need to be more masculine, put forth that energy so she can draw closer to.
Gotcha. All I will say is what I do know is that lust is definitely condemned in the Bible. Lust is certainly condemned. Like, there's not an argument on that. So if you can do those things without thinking about other people, that might put it in the gray camp. It's just if you are thinking about other people, then you certainly are sinning. So, or if you're looking at porn or whatever. So that would be my thought on it. So,
All right.
At least right now, it's open to change. If there's somebody more knowledgeable on the topic, I am all ears, because it's one I'm struggle with.
Do you have guilt about it?
Guilt about yeah.
Even if you just think about your wife?
Yeah, but I don't know if guilt is a good criteria, because if you've listened to people that have been in like overly strict households, they'll feel guilty about leaving the cabinet doors open. Like, I just don't think emotions are a very good metric for things. So, like, I know people say you should go by like if you feel guilty, that's good, or if you don't feel guilty, that's bad, or whatever. I'm just like, it's right and wrong is an objective fact, regardless of how you feel. So I'm not sure how relevant the feelings on the matter is.
But nobody else knows you do it. So it's like, if you have shame, if you're judging yourself for it, then there's obviously a reason.
Yeah, but that reason might not be God condemning you, though. It might be just condemnation from your spiritual training or your family or, your own associations. Like, there's a million. It might be God, not saying it isn't, but there's more than one cause for guilt.
Where's your criteria? Because there's none in the Bible.
Well, if it's not in the Bible, then, generally speaking, I don't worry about it. But if it...
Well, yeah, but so why is there shame there?
Again, I would say training. Like, if it's not in the Bible...
From what? That's what I'm asking.
Like your church or your parents or the way you were brought up.
Who condemn it?
Yeah, who condemn it? Like, you're taught something's bad, so you feel guilty because you were taught something for years.
Your personal journey, who has condemned
it?
Oh,
for me personally? Church, family, basically everybody I've ever been around. So there's not really been, an opposing force other than me reading the Bible and going, wait, this isn't in here. How does that work? And being confused by that because this thing I was taught my whole life wasn't in the scripture directly, and that threw me off. So it's like when I read it and studied it, it wasn't there, which confused me. So if there's some nuance I'm missing, I'm all ears. But, if it's not in the Bible, I'm pretty dubious about the moral, like making an affirmative, this thing is wrong, that thing is wrong. Like, it has to be in there directly, at least in my mind. So, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
All right.
Maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm open to having my mind changed on the subject.
I will also add that when I was doing it, my back would go out, my lower back, like all the time. And after I stopped, it hasn't gone off since.
That's interesting. I don't know why that would be.
It is. Here's a thought. Is self-service good?
Is what?
Self-service. Is it good to, like, serve
Pleasure yourself?
Yeah. Like, should you seek pleasure for yourself?
Just broadly speaking, like outside the confines of sex, but just broadly speaking? Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with pleasure. It's just balance. Like, you can't be seeking it all the time, because if you seek it all the time, then it's like a moving goalpost. The definition of happiness is always going to change when you chase it directly. So, you should focus on doing the right thing, and by doing the right thing, you'll wake up one day and find yourself happy. But if you chase it directly, you're never going to be content, because there's always going to be some new thing.
Ben asked, why not?
To which part?
Maybe self-service.
Oh, why? I don't understand the question.
Yeah, sorry, I don't.
Be pithy, Jen. Be pithy.
Yeah, that. Why not self-service?
Okay.
Why not self-pleasure?
Well, I would argue that you need to remain neutral, at least as a man. I mean, I think self-care for women is kind of important. But as a man, you should be stoic and neutral, and God takes care of you, and you take care of everybody else. It's like the order of man, like God.
So selfless in a way.
Yeah.
In a deeper sense.
You take care of everybody else, and God takes care of you.
But by your argument, and this would be kind of my point, you're designed for that. And so you're going to find contentment and satisfaction to help others, like to provide for your family, to focus on other people, to better your community. That sense of purpose is what gives you contentment, which is true happiness. And so by focusing on others, you find yourself happy because you're doing the right thing. You're operating in the way in which you were designed. Yeah, so I mean, we're actually in agreement.
Self-service is stepping outside of that.
If you're chasing it directly, like, and if you're chasing it all the time. Like if like
I mean,
like when I say,
I would argue it all.
When I say, like, when you say self-service, I'm thinking like, for example,
pleasures of this world. Pleasures
right,
of this
okay,
world.
like in the hedonistic.
Be in the world, not of it. Right.
Yeah, the pleasures of this world. I as far as like, I don't know, pleasures of this world, alcohol, fun in general, I'd say balance to that. But as far as like ideas or coffee. Or as far as like ideas like the spouse, like your spouse existing to make you happy or whatever, or some like leaning on other people to make you happy, or getting married to be happy, or things like that. I would say in those kinds of situations, you need to focus on doing the right thing, and you'll wake up happy in those circumstances if you prioritize doing the right thing over searching for happiness.
Yeah. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and these things will be added unto you.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Does that cover it?
I think so. I thought I had one more point, but I can't think of
it. What if your wife wants you to self-service?
You want my real opinion?
Sure.
That's her demons trying to
manipulate,
bring you down.
Yeah.
Personally, but I'm no scientist, so.
They're trying to get you to manifest through your person.
Problem with this is we're speaking very, very broadly, and so it's hard to answer these questions without specific, like, nuanced situations.
Yeah, these are
they're
very personal.
It's like,
topic,
should we chase happiness ever? I'm like, well, that's very broad.
So.
I don't know.
I think like there's that verse, God takes care of the birds. Why wouldn't he take care of you? You're so much more important, or whatever. Like, so I don't think we should seek self-service at all as men.
Well, I mean, that verse is referring to not worrying, but I do think you have something to say.
Don't worry about
I do think there's something to say that, as men, we are designed with a specific purpose, and by chasing that purpose, which is to provide for your spouse, provide for your family, better your community, by looking to help people outside of you, I think you do find contentment in that, and that's a deeper, better contentment than chasing partying or the cares of this world, if you want to put it that way. So, I mean, I do agree with that aspect of it for sure. Just broadly, generally speaking. So,
Ben said, you should always be happy and do what makes you happy, but be humble with what you do have. The rest falls in place as you go.
Well, there you go.
Right.
So, okay.
Amen.
Well, that wasn't so bad. We
It
got
was
through
awful.
that.
I feel so.
I didn't know where this was gonna go.
Terrible.
I was like, So
I didn't either.
no, that turned out well. So okay, gentlemen, any final thoughts?
I'm
gonna go self-service.
Nope.
You selfish piece of. Okay.
Thank you.
Go do something for somebody else, Trevor.
Well, Cody, do you have any?
I'll drink coffee to that.
Drink coffee to that. There you go. I guess the cigar is self-service too. Then in that case,
It is good to see you, Jen. Thanks for showing up.
it is good
I
to see you.
remember my point.
Yeah.
If you're touching a wiener, it's gay, no matter whose it is.
That's a one.
So if I scratch myself, that's gay.
No, that's practical, and maybe a hygiene issue. So take
All
a
right,
shower.
let's end this thing on a high note before we crater this enlightened conversation, such as it was. So
I would love a warmer for down there, Jen.
Yeah, me too.
Well, there. Okay, well, I don't have any final thoughts except to say, guys, yeah,
Great show.
Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. It's good to
Later,
see you,
y'all.
Jen. We'll see you.
See you next week.